Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome one, welcome all to SimSpeed TV this lovely Sunday afternoon here in Australia for the international region of the majors. The fifth round of the championship for 2025 takes us to virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Speedway 500. One of the highlight events of the season. We've had many exciting finishes, incredible incidents, and brilliant entertainment and drama over the years in this event. And we're certainly hoping that this year brings more of the same. We've got all the drivers waiting for their opportunity to strut their stuff around Indianapolis for 200 laps here in a 500-mile race. To bring it to you all live here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick, it's me, Reese Gardner. For the moment, Dan Yeaman is with me in the comms box, and also producing behind the scenes. We should be joined later on by Scott Rankin and potentially Lynn Kinchelow as well. For now, though, Dan, it's you and me here, and we're looking forward to a good race.
Certainly, that's the goal and the plan indeed. And thank you for the introduction, Reese. And thank you to everyone joining us here across our platforms on SimSpeed. And, well, this track is certainly, well, iconic, world famous. What words are there to describe this place, would you say, Reese, that aren't great? Basically a record of how great this circuit is held in high regard. Yeah, world over, for sure.
Yeah, it is one of the most historic pieces of racetrack on the planet. This place opened in the early 1900s, in fact, 1909 to be exact, and the first Indianapolis 500 took place in 1911, which is frankly incredible. This circuit is one of the oldest permanent racetracks still operating, and it continues into the 21st century and potentially beyond. It's a challenging circuit as well. Very much an old style oval here. It's got very flat straightaways, and the banking is reasonably shallow by modern standards. We're very used to seeing ovals with upwards of 15, 18 degrees of banking in some places, but only 9.2 degrees of banking through the corners at Indianapolis, which is still some pretty good clip that you can take through these corners in these Dallara Indy cars, that even though they've been trimmed out and they've got the Speedway package on them, they still provide a good amount of downforce. And in qualifying trim, you are just about flat out the whole way around.
Yeah, I have heard a little bit about how things are going out there on the track as part of the build-up this week. And one of the big ones was that, yeah, it's real actually a little on edge, especially in qualifying trim, as you said, Reece, where these drivers are looking to be 100% throttle the entire round of the lap. They're leaning on the weight jackers in particular, as well as just small things like the roll bar configuration and otherwise the general car setup choices they make. And so seeing here today and seeing how they'll go out here today will be fascinating as to how they take their qualifying set modifications and dial it back perhaps for the race will be, I think, a big one as well.
Yeah, there's going to have been a lot of effort put by the teams to get their cars ready for this event. You know, this circuit, this race is one of those prime examples of oval racing is nowhere near as simple as you think it is. Sometimes you think, oh, yep, just turn left 4 times and that's the lap. No. That is not how it works, and you're going to be seeing it in action for sure today. Well, we have just under 4 minutes remaining in the warm-up before we go for our 200-lap race. So I think it's a good opportunity for us to go through the format and the standings coming into this round. Of course, it's a 200-lap race. We're projected 6 pit stops, depending on your fuel usage. If you can tune your fuel map in the car, stay in the slipstream, you can get anywhere from 29 to 31 laps per tank, maybe more if a caution comes out and you save fuel. No tire set limit as well, so I bet drivers are going to be changing tyres every single chance they get. We are joined by Lynn Kinchelow. Welcome, Lynn. Just in time for the action to start. Looking forward to calling another Speedway 500 with you.
Yep, and the thing to keep a note with these pit stop strategies, every single lap that you can get above 30 is going to be a benefit. It runs out to where if you run 30 laps exactly every single pit stop, you will make it all the way to the end on fuel, but you're not going to be able to push at all with that. So every single lap that you can get extra on a stint, that's a little extra fuel that you can burn at the end to make all of that horsepower that you can.
Absolutely. You do need to keep an eye on your fuel usage as we can check out how things go in the overall standings here. Coming into this 5th round. After round 4, James Walker is the man on top by some 38 points over Ewan Baker, and the top 5 is dominated by Kiwi Sim Racing Speed Nation. Northway, the reigning champion of the international region, in 3rd, followed by Kirk and Doughty to round out that top 5. Fusion has 2 cars in the top 10. Garen Batten and Robert DeLoach there. In fact, you could say 4. Throw Lottridge and Morton in there as well. The sole dog bear car in the top 10 being Ray Partridge. And it'll be interesting to see how all these drivers tackle the Speedway. I can be certain that the Kiwi Sim Racing guys will have put a lot of effort into making sure they're ready for this race. Northway loves his oval racing, and he's certainly the reigning champion of the international region for very good reason. So that's how things are in the overall driver standings. And we'll see how much of a flip around they have after 500 miles of racing, as we can welcome Scott Rankin to the comms box as well. Scott, I knew you'd be on for this one. You're an IndyCar freak. This is paradise for you.
Okay, look, don't call me out so hard, Reese. Like, stop hitting the nail directly on the head. I definitely have other passions other than... No, it's pretty much just bang on IndyCar. Yeah, no, unfortunately, I have a poodle, and if you've ever tried to keep the hair on a poodle in line, let alone a man with ADHD who struggles to keep his life in line, we had to shave her today. So anyway, that's why I'm running a touch plate. But look, it's the Indy 500. This is, there's no way I'd miss this, not for the world.
Absolutely. It's really good to have the both of you in the comms box with me to call us through what is sure to be a fantastic race. Some of the best finishes in the majors history have been at this circuit in this race. Even the year or so that we had to spend using the Dallara IR01 instead of the IndyCar due to the licensing issues that were experienced in the past few years. That race was one of the best I've ever seen, and well, we'll see if 2025 can turn it up. It is the end of the warm-up session. Drivers have already completed their qualifying and everything thereof. So we can jump on into the race and go through the grid. Well, in P1 on the grid is going to be the 605 of Lucas Prada. He's got James Walker alongside him, the championship leader, who is starting on the front row with him. Garen Batten is going to start in third place, and making a return to the majors, Cameron Dance for Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport in P4. Robert Northway is going to start on the third row of the grid alongside Sam Harper, both of them former race winners in the Majors Series. Northway, of course, the reigning champion of the international region. That's why he's got the number 1 on his car. Robert DeLoach and Ray Partridge are going to be your fourth row of the grid. And Scott, the top 10 will be rounded out by Ryan Steele and Ewan Baker. Quite a stacked top 10 there.
That's it. Just outside the 10 is a man who loves this car as well, Dan Stevens alongside of Wayne Hutchison. They're going to be 11th and 12th. Seventh row of the grid is going to be Dean Moll from Thomas Hens. Good to see Hensy return. Hensy won himself the most recent AOG Fixed Indy Australia Championship as well, so he should be strong here. Jason Lottridge from Adam Johnson are going to be row number 8. Row number 9 is going to be that of Jake Fox and Hayden Cook. And rounding out the 20, Ben Doughty and Tyson Broad. Here, Lynn.
Continuing on, we have Christian Macarelli ringing in from Italy in the 21st position alongside Stuart Elder in the Fusion Silver Machine. Next row, we have Robbie Bradbury and Stephen Banks hanging out in Fusion Gold colors. Continuing on, we have, on the next row, we have Dylan Jordan. One thing to note about this car, they're running a different wicker than the rest of the field, a little longer width span. That should give him a little extra rear downforce alongside Justin Morton. Dino Vella is also running a wider wicker alongside John Fillingham, in the 756. Carrying on, Dwayne Burns, Julian Mookie, a couple of regulars hanging out in the back. And we're going to have to play a little bit of hurry up here because it is a big field out here. 38 cars on the grid total. Tom Dreiling and Daryl Hockey in that next row. Continuing on past the additional row of 33 is Roger Schenk, Mac Chalker. James Horn is running no wicker whatsoever. That's going to be an interesting car to keep an eye on, alongside Bevan Larcy. Michael Hogg and Jonathan Ben will round out your grid of 38 cars timing in for this event.
Wow, and just in time too, because here we are rounding the final corner and getting ready for the start. Lucas Prada here on the very front row. And he will have the run into turn 1 as Barney raises the green flag high. And it flies, and we are going to be away for 200 laps around Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The Speedway 500 already off to a chaotic start. There's a collision in the midfield. May very well be a caution. This is interesting. We've got a couple of cars with big damage. John Fillingham. Upside down is Matt Chalker, Justin Morton, and Roger Schenk as well involved. This is an insane incident to start things off here, Scott.
John Fillingham's missing a nose cone on his car as well. He's still rolling. Dwayne Burns, I think, actually either got ejected over the pit lane or he actually might have started from pit lane. But Roger Shank's missing that left front tire, and his car is pointing in the wrong direction. So it's tough, it's tricky, but the big thing is there's a lot of checkups at the front end of an Indy 500, and sometimes it's just be a little bit better to be more circumspect. I wonder whether somebody might have been in 6th gear on that initial launch. Might tell the story.
Yeah, it's interesting. Justin Morton, I think, is the car that we should focus on, as well as John Fillingham for when we get the replay started, because it looks like Fillingham was a bit eager on the initial race start there. He actually ran into the back of Morton, and Justin, of course, lost control of his car as a result. They both came together, and then they ended up spinning into the likes of Julian Mookie and Matt Chalker. So this is the view on board from Fillingham. You'll see him go here, but Morton does not. And, well, into the back he goes, and then Morton slides out of control. They both come together, and then a spat across the racetrack into the approaching pack.
And you see that Mookie machine jumping completely over the pit wall into and over the wall that the pit crews would normally sit on to stop the car. That forces him to take a tow, because you're not getting back out from over there. Take another look at the Chalker replay for this perspective. He just ran smack into them and the back of Mookie. cars all over the place. One thing to note, if you're new to the majors, these teams do have a spare car available, so none of these drivers should be falling out of the race unless they happen to forget to hit the check mark on that button to take that fast repair, and that's a lot of damage still to come this early on.
Absolutely. You know what? I'd like to make a replay request of a replay from the safety car's perspective, because Mookie, you can see, goes right in front of the iRacing pace car and actually ends up outside the almost outside the fencing that separates the pit wall from the F1 garages. So here's the view on board from the safety car driver. Wait for this. Come together, and there's Julian Mookie. That is a heart and mouth moment for our robot driving that car.
Poor old Fred. He hasn't seen action like that since NASCAR race in 2003 when he was the default driver for the player to select initially. As you can see the times on the screen, a lot of cars have to take an extended tow because these Indy cars, they are fragile, and you damage a suspension piece, it's not going to get back very easily.
There's a couple of drivers that are just now hitting back to pit lane, so I think we should be back rolling here for a few of those guys very shortly. A couple drivers already now 2 laps down, which is going to be Morton, Mookie, Shank, and Chalker. Although, like I said, I did see one car just roll off of pit lane, so I'm not confident who that was. Dwayne Burns, by the way, as he gets released, so that means we're 1 to green at this point in time. He started the race from pit lane. Well, the safety car was... he didn't get released from his pit lane until the safety car was already pulling back out on the track, so he was stuck behind the safety car.
Yeah, that's not ideal, but at the very least he'll be able to assume running at the back of the field. Looks like the tow has been completed for Mookie, Chalker, and Morton. Roger Shank is unfortunately still in the pit lane and waiting for his tow to conclude. We had some brief splashes of fuel for Bevan Larassi and Michael Hogg. John Fillingham still with a black flag to his name, as well as Chalker. So that's going to be something that needs to be sorted out. iRacing issued black flags for those drivers. But we are approaching now the penultimate corner. As looks like race control is calling that car 756 of Fillingham is the cause of the caution. And yeah, I don't know. I suppose that I would understand that decision from race control, but that is going to be the end of that discussion because we're about to get back to racing again, this time in single file. Pace cars already had an adventure here today, and they prefer to not have one for some time to come. Lucas Prada leading us away here as Cameron Dance, in all the confusion of that start, made his way up to third and is already pressuring Garen Batten here for second place as Prada leads us away. Top 3 breaking away. Dance a bit more to the bottom there, but it looks like Garen Batten is absolutely flying right now. He is going to go for the lead, and it looks like Lucas Prada is probably going to have to yield to Cameron Dance too, unless Dance moves out of the throttle. But Garen Batten on a bit of a charge here, Lynn.
Yep, early on, you want to get out front and get some clean air. These early 3 or 4 laps under caution, that'll save you about a lap and a half of fuel, so Batten obviously thinking short term at the moment, get to the lead, maybe try to break away, but we'll see how that works out in the long term. Kind of see the Walker machine there stepping out just a little bit, trying to keep air on that front wing. A lot of these cars are running step 3 wicker on the front. It'll be these little gray bits that go all the way on the front, and a lot of them are running a 13. Oh, hold on, somebody's gone off of the back.
Oh.
Who was that? Was that Mole?
Adam Johnson, number 29. Off the circuit there. He's come to a stop just off the track, so we stay green. The Kingsman Racing Esports International car completely damaged, all the suspension gone on that thing, and it looks like that's going to be a short-term visit to the pit lane for him. May still have his fast repair active though, Scott, so not the end of the world for him, but I think he would have preferred he wouldn't lose so many laps with the race being under green.
Yeah, that's the problem, is it? So his next thing will be to try and get that car back to pit lane. Both the left-hand side wheels damaged and impacted by that one. Right, now we get into the big part about the Indy 500. It is 500 miles. You're going to click them off at 2.5 miles per lap. You got to make sure that you hit all 4 turns. They're 90-degree turns, not something that's quite normal of the NASCAR scene. But this is it. This is the big one. This is what the month of May is all about. And if you're going to make it work, that means you've got to tag that bottom of the racetrack, 2 tires underneath the white line, or if there's a pack of cars ahead of you that are running that line, look for the fresh air towards the top of the racetrack. It's all about clean air versus dirty air, and the reason for that, current speeds for these cars up above 350 kilometers an hour, faster than Formula One cars. They punch a huge hole in the air, but they rely on aero surfaces, and that is Robert Northway picking one car off, Sam Harper, because Sam Harper decided, hey, it's too early, I don't want that fight just yet.
Yeah, Northway trying to make his way forward, and you can see what he's doing there. He's going a bit higher in turn 4 to just get that clean air running over the front wing and allowing that little bit of front end grip. And you could see in turn 1 on the lap before, he was struggling for understeer on his way through. So he has to have a couple of goes at the steering there. Turn 1 is very misleading because you look at this track from the air and you think, well, the turns look the same. They must be exactly the same in profile and radius, but in fact, Lynn, they are not. Turn 1's actually the tightest turn on this racetrack, and so Northway facing a lot of challenges there as he made his way through, but he translated it into a great run into turn 3.
Yep, and all of the stands surrounding turn number 1, it's a daunting experience. It's like looking down a tunnel. And also, believe it or not, the turns are as you say, turn 1's a little bit tighter. That's because it falls away ever so slightly. They only found out before when iRacing came to scan it for the first time. They realized, hey, wait a minute, one of these corners is higher than the other. But the end result is that it's still a very challenging course as we see them make their way down the backstretch again for the 11th time today. This is on starting lap 11, and we get a little side-by-side battle for the second position right here. That is going to be Prada versus Dance. Dance steps out for a moment. Oh, wait, no, never mind. Hold on. That's Northway snuck his way. That little Bluey machine has got some places to go.
Yeah, Northway is charging to the front here. Brilliant early run from the number 1 machine, but I think he's playing this quite well, Scott. You know, we can have that debate over whether or not charging to the front early on is a good idea, but he's going about it in the right way. He's picking and choosing where he actually makes those gains.
Yeah, that's the big thing about Indy cars. It's the thing about racing in general, really, is you generally, the first time you arrive up on the scene, you're generally not going to get that pass done immediately. As for moving his way forward, well, the first half of this race, in fact, the first 3/4 of this race is going to be 2 things. It's going to be survival and it's going to be fuel strategy. We'll start to settle ourselves out into a longer green flag run whereby we start, that becomes a more and more critical number, but the big thing is that you've got to be towards the front end. Going for track position early, if you get a little bit stuck and you haven't got a car that drives all that well in the traffic, you can very easily fail to get any track position later on. So what Northway is doing is he's not going for the lead right now, but he's just positioning himself so that he's attached to them. He's sacrificing a little bit of fuel mileage right now, but it's making sure that he's in that top group.
Yeah, and that's what really counts. You don't have to be the car right at the front. As long as you're somewhere in that group, then you have a chance to take advantage later on. It's what we always say, taking a leaf from the great Neil Crompton's book, buying a ticket to the end. I mean, I don't think that's any more clearly demonstrated than a Speedway 500.
Oh yeah, and this is perhaps one of the premier events on the schedule, both in terms of real-life racing and also in sim racing. This one kicks off the month of May, at least on the iRacing side. We also have the fixed Indy 500 for officials next week, and then 2 weeks after that, the open Indy 500. So we take a look back at the Bradbury and Jordan machines. They're up a couple of positions each. Jordan steps out, tries to take this position away, and is able to successfully do so. That allows Bradbury to tuck back in line, try to save a little bit of fuel, maybe get another run.
Yeah. Looks like a bit of a return serve there. Bradbury took the spot away from Jordan in turn 3, so they've traded spots there just outside the top 20. And for all that we've seen happen, okay. So Dylan Jordan apparently had a little bit of an issue there, and it looks like he's fallen behind Daryl Hockey now as well. Apparently some problems there, Scott, through the last 2 turns of the circuit.
Yeah, the problem is that's overheated those left-hand side, the rear tires just in general, so he's got a very loose race car. Could be a little bit too much on the weight jacker this early. The thing is, track temperature is swinging wildly at the moment. We are in heavy cloud cover. The race track started at 43 degrees Celsius. We've already dropped 4 degrees, so the condition of the track has changed quite massively. I'm just keeping an eye on Jordan. He's still a touch loose, so he's going to take a very long time to get those tires. But you can just see, I wonder whether or not he sat on the white line, and that was the paint.
No, that was he got. If you're doing the swaps back and forth like that, if you forget to lean back on the weight jacker from being from behind a guy and then you get in front of him, that will absolutely get the right rear out of shape. Remember, the weight jacker is basically like an automatic wedge adjustment. It raises and lowers that right side spring to compensate for aerodynamic grip. So obviously he forgot the weight jacker and then it bit him.
Has to be said, though, very well held from Dylan Jordan. If that was me in that car, I would have walled it 100%. But Jordan recovered that slide very well.
Yeah, it's just about being patient with all the controls. You don't throw a heap of wheel at it. You don't throw a heap of throttle at it. You don't throw a heap of brake at it. You just smooth it. As soon as you start jagging, soaring on the wheel very quickly, that's where you get yourself in trouble. So it's about patience at the moment. Back up at the head of the race, though, it's about a little bit more than patience.
Yeah, this is the still looking at the battle down where Dylan Jordan is. Robbie Bradbury leading what's turned into quite the pack here. We've got Daryl Hockey, Bevan Larassi, Stephen Banks in the middle of this one as well. And there's a pass. And that's going to be Larassi getting past Daryl Hockey. Good racing further back here in the field. But, you know, I get the feeling all of these guys would want to be free of each other at this point, because it's these early stages of the race, especially if you don't know when the next caution's going to come out. You want that clear air. You want to be able to just run your laps and save your fuel, but you've got drivers all around you who all want that position.
And the other thing to keep in mind, we're looking at this battle for 15th. This group is about 4 seconds off the lead. They can get within touch of the lead breakaway, but when you're looking back at this, the Bradbury, Larcy Hockey group, they're 11 seconds back. They are completely out of the draft with the cars in front. It's going to be very difficult for them to try to catch up unless they start doing the swap games like they were earlier before Jordan had his little mishap with the weight jacker.
Yeah, indeed. We'll keep our attention on the front of the field. Looks like a position change a bit further back there, or at least an attempt. It was Ewan Baker trying to get past Ray Partridge. Unsuccessful, but carrying some good speed through turn 4, maybe washing out on the front end just a little bit on the way out of the final corner. But got to say, this the single file running at the start of this race, it's going to result in a pretty mammoth draft for drivers like Ewan Baker down the straights here, Scott, but he's going to be dealing with a lot of dirty air.
That's it. So it's a big lift going into the corners, but then again, that's kind of what you want. The other way that you can sort of think about it is you can kick it over onto some of the fuel save modes towards the back end of the straight, start to lift off early, maybe not use full throttle. That's how you gain the most fuel percentage back. Is a driver in these cars has a lot of tools that enable him to not only drive the car faster, but also to save fuel and set himself up for the back end of the race. He can extend the tire life. He could also save that fuel. So what's that all about? You've got front and rear ARBs. They're going to help you get the car sit and plant in the turn. They're going to be used in conjunction with that weight jacker. We were talking about the wedge in the right rear corner from Lynn. That's what that one's all about. Then they get access to 8 fuel modes. Fuel mode number 8, that's for safety car racing. We've already used that one for a couple laps here. Fuel mode 7 and 6 are full rich. They're just different throttle shapings. They're designed to help these drivers with road course racing. Fuel mode number 1 is the linear mode. It is designed for green flag running on ovals. You put 50% throttle pressure in, it's going to give you 50% on the actual throttle going to the engine as well. So that one's all about. Modes 2 through 5, they are just increased fuel saving, with your most fuel saving on the green flag conditions at fuel mode number 5. And you're going to be tinkering with that a lot on these runs. Eventually there will come a time you'll go, I cannot save it on the lap. You'll move it up to rich and you'll go, all right, now it's head down, bum up. Let's get on with our job.
Indeed, and looks like Ray Partridge, the man Ewan Baker was chasing, was having some problems keeping the speed up at the apexes of turns 1 and 2, gaining a little bit back through 3 and 4. You were talking earlier about swings in the track temperature, Scott. Well, Ken Dance gave us a little insider info before the start of the race. The track was 37 degrees in warm-up, so he said expect some pack racing early on until it heats up. Well, the track is heating back up again. It's now back up to 41. It was just 39 Celsius a few minutes ago.
Yeah, so it's going to come, that's all to do with cloud coverage. You see the circuit get a touch darker, that is cloud coverage coming across the circuit. That's a little bit more grip. The more grip you have, the closer the cars can actually run together. So everyone's on a lot more similar sort of things. Have a look at that graph already. That's actually quite a dramatic change for the 20 laps that we've had here, and it massively impacts things. If that track temp gets above 45, you're going to see everyone start to spread out. But have a look at how close they are at the moment. The hotter that gets, the more spread the field will get.
Something I want to point out is we took back into this battle with Marcy leading the breakaway group in the 20s. If we go back to the Ewan Baker machine, if we could get a look at his rear wing, this is the only car that is running a full wicker across the rear wing. You see where the Kiwi Sim Racing logo is? That is that wicker is going across the entire wing. He's the only one doing this. There's a couple of others that will run stage 2, which is about a 24-inch wicker. That'll go from about, well, here's a 13.2. And yeah, so we're going to just take a look. We're going to poke around. We're going to look at the bat machine real quick. That's a 13.2. Prada in second, also running a 13.2. And here's another full wing. This is Robert Northway. So the Kiwi Sim Racing guys have decided on running full rear wicker on their cars, which is going to be interesting later on if they get by themselves. Cameron Dance running up 13.2. Looks to be all of the Fusion cars, I believe, are going to be running these 13.2s. Sam Harper, Robert DeLoche, Ryan Steele. Fascinating little characters on that rear wing right there.
And Ewan, who's actually gotten past Ray Partridge there for 9th, finally, comparing those two wickers there. And yeah, basically the wicker, if I'm understanding it correctly, Lynn, it's basically the same thing as a gurney flap, no?
Basically, you are adding a little more surface area to your wing in exchange for a low drag penalty. A lot of the cars very commonly will be running. Hey, there's a 2. Bendodi in 20th place has that 24.5-inch rear wicker, and basically it allows you to run your setup physically a little on the freer side, because the rear wing is able to pull it back a little bit more. Unfortunately, you see the 20th place car right there is kind of in no man's land, so that rear wicker is not helping him at all. Meanwhile, battle for 21st right here again between Blarcy and Bradbury, again taking the fight to each other right here. Bradbury not able to get clear of the Larcy machine, and they're going to settle back into this fight.
Big slipstream. It looks like also a move to the inside for Tom Dreiling, just behind, trying to get it done on Julian Mookie, who's the driver that we saw tumbling across the front of the safety car in pit lane at the start of the race. And that's a bit of a wash up there. Tom Dreiling has unfortunately lost a lot of pace through the last corner there. Almost thought about a pass to Dwayne Burns, but decided no, it's best to stay behind for now. Now, Scott, what might the logic be on that?
fuel saving. So I was actually just taking a quick look at a few cars in and around this sort of section of the racetrack because I was looking for wing wickers as well. But yeah, look, if you can't press on and you can't make the moves at the front end of this pack and you can't move this pack forwards, then let somebody else do it because you're all going to benefit. This pack back here are in no man's land. They're in a lot of trouble because right now they're about a third of a lap behind the race leaders. The problem is they've had a long time to try and sort things out. Some guys back here will be fuel saving, but not everyone can fuel save. Somebody's going to punch the bubble through the air, and that guy generally needs an assistant and somebody who knows how to swap draft correctly. Everybody else needs to sit there, be patient, watch, and let them do their stuff, and they will work together. But at some point in time, somebody's got to put their foot on the loud pedal and start making moves, because if you all sit back and you all wait, you're all going to go further and further back. See that? That's the critical thing down the bottom. Also, just having a quick look, I believe there is one driver I've come across in the field that has a step 0, which is no additional wicker. I've spotted on the rear end of James Swan. He's having a lot of problems keeping the rear end planted on the ground.
Surprising absolutely no one. That's that's quite a brave setup that he's running there. Well, we saw that gap there from the 21st place pack to the leaders, and Bevan Larissy in 21st has 6 seconds to the next car on track, Ben Doughty, who himself has 3.7 seconds gap to the car ahead, as it looks like our race leader has come into the lane. Garen Batten completing 30 laps on that stint, and that's right in the middle of the fuel tank window that we were expecting from the start of this race. Now we just have to wait and see whether or not the likes of Prada and Northway have saved enough fuel to continue on for a couple more laps.
A very ginger stop for the Bat Machine getting into this pit stall right there. Obviously, being out front for a long time has reduced his fuel stint by quite a couple of laps. I would have expected that car to be closer to about lap 32 or 33. Gets down and away, 4 tires, full tank of fuel, about 9.5 seconds is the stop. And that does not necessarily mean he loses a lap, but he's going to be having to push real quick to make sure he doesn't lose that lap.
Yeah, that's how much a green flag pit stop costs you at this track. Batten's just emerged out of pit lane just ahead of these guys. So him being all alone, and well, he does have the benefit of fresh tyres. Once they have a chance to warm up, he should be able to set some fast laps while hopefully looking after those tyres. But yeah, he could be in danger of losing this lap if these guys don't pit very, very soon. Next car in the pit lane is Jonathan Ben, who started dead last and has been in and around that just outside the top 30 kind of position. We saw Garen Batten, and then we see the actual race leaders. But whether or not they'll be the corrected race leaders once the stops are complete for these guys, Scott, remains to be seen.
Yeah, well, so it's just about smarts. The biggest issue right now for Garen Batten is that because he's the first one to jump to pit lane and stop for the lead, this is Robert Northway. Now, Northway's running the full extended. He is step 3 on that rear wing wicker. He's one of only a couple of drivers in the field. So I was just doing some math. The step 1 drivers, there's 31 of the field today are running that step 1, and that's 31 of the cars that are out on track. I believe we actually do still have all 38 drivers. So there's only 7 drivers who are not running a step 1. Step 2, there are 2 Kiwi Sim Racing cars, and Dino Vella has that medium. Robert Northway is one of a couple of drivers. Well, we've got 34, so there's 3 other drivers. So there's 2 drivers running the full wing wicker, and there's 1 driver running none. Well, it looks like the step 1 is the far majority of the choice, but Robert Northway leads, and that track temp is up right now. He will have a very strong race car whilst the heat is up.
Yeah, well, he takes that opportunity to come into pit lane as I was going to draw your attention to Ewan Baker. It looks like he's had an internet failure. He's dropped from the server. So the man who was running in P9 in the Kiwi Sim Racing number 34 for now is out of the race. And that is a terrible thing to happen to Ewan Baker. I was hoping to see how he'd be able to work his way forward, but there's some big responses happening now from drivers further back in the field. Dreiling just completing his stop. McCrelly has been in as well. And and we've seen Doughty, Larassi, Hockey, Bradbury, Banks, Dino Vella, Michael Hogg, James Horn. Yeah, they've all come in the last lap or two, and it looks like there's the response as well from the rest of our lead pack. Prada leading the way into pit lane, joined by Ryan Steele, Ray Partridge, Stuart Elder pulling into his box at the moment. Also entering pit lane behind them is Christian McCrelly again. It looks like, yes, McCrelly pitted 32 laps ago under caution, I believe. So,
yep.
Looks like he'll be taking his second stop there. So now it's down to Cameron Dance to lead the way for the next lap or so.
Yeah, he'll probably feed in very, very quickly. Here they all come. They're starting to split that group of drivers up that were able to continue on. So it's Dance and James Walker are the two that have managed to go on. I think just about everyone else is going to pit lane. Third place is Tyson Broad, has also continued on. The difficulty for Broad, he's lost touch with the entirety of the rest of the pack, though, so he's now in a hole on his own, but I guarantee he'll be in the pits at the end of this lap.
So... Cameron Dance, of course, one of the drivers on our Zoom wall. We've also got Thomas Hinds and Daniel Stevens with us for company on the video feed as Dance makes the call to pit lane, and looks like he's going to be followed in by James Walker and Tyson Broad. And that is the entire field having taken their first pit stop of the race now. And Dreiling taking his first scheduled stop of the race, having to repair damage thanks to the unfortunate start dramas. So now keep our eyes peeled on Lucas Prada, and we'll see what he can do to find his way back to the front here. Cameron Dance just completing his pit stop and exiting pit lane as Prada is going to filter through into, I believe, third.
But it's going to take a little bit for these cars to get back up to speed. It's the 605 of Prada at full speed, at full temps, charging his way towards the leaders at the moment who are just exiting pit road now. He's looking for that 600 car. He wants to get this lead back.
It was a good stop from Cameron Dance. Looks like he has one of the quickest runs through pit lane at 34.9 seconds. There isn't anyone else in the field that's managed to hit that kind of number. So Dance executed that very well, Scott.
Yeah, it did, and I believe a speeding on pit lane penalty for Roger Shank, because he's just on an outlap and he's just come back in. Whether or not, though, there might have been an issue with the stop. Maybe didn't take tyres, there was some sort of issue there, but he's had to make his way back on a pit lane. As all of this gets cleansed, John Fillingham is 1 lap down. Adam Johnson, Julian Mookie, and Justin Morton are at 2 laps down. Ewan Baker has rejoined the session 4 laps down. I think about 4 laps down is the furthest you can really get back and make it back to the lead lap, but you need a lot of luck from there to go back way. 5 laps to me is eliminated, so just be aware of that.
Yeah, if you're following Ewan Baker, if you're a fan of him, then keep your fingers crossed. Maybe a caution fest and being the right car in the right place at the right time could save his race, but it's very unlikely at this present moment. Well, Cameron Dance leading by half a second over Lucas Prada. The gaps have spread out a little bit across the front of the field. The closest gap at the moment, it seems, is all the way back 24th, 25th. Bradbury and Dreiling still fighting over 24th place, and it actually looks like a potential position change between the two of them, but that's further down the field. Northway starting to catch up to Prada here and may well be having another run at the lead this stint. Garen Batten, our driver who led the end of the first stint, has filtered out in 4th place, and he should be catching a little whisper of a slipstream off our top 3 lane.
Yep, that little bit of hesitation he had coming into his pit box in his pit stop, it was the difference in this gap right here, going from the lead to about 1.5 seconds back off a Dance. As we take a look at the onboard with Batten, we don't get the full telemetry from the opponent cars in spectator mode, but you can see his gear. He is in 6th gear. Everybody should be running around in 6th gear. Should be getting right up to about 11,800 RPM before he dives off into turn number 1 for the next time by 230 miles an hour. in the perfect spot for the toe, less than a second away from the Northway machine, and this thing is going to be absolutely flying, trying to catch up. And now we're kind of in a point where I think back to last season in the Atlantic region when we ran the wild card. Remember, it was going to be Auto Club in Pocono. I remember driving Pocono similar to this, where it was all these big gold gaps, and you basically just had to go full rich trying to chase everybody down.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Very early days though.
Completely and utterly mirror those sentiments. Here comes James Walker to the inside of Garen Batten. Batten's loose at the moment. His race car is not handling the way that he wants, so I actually just rode a couple laps with him. He's having a lot of problems keeping the rear underneath him, which is why he's slipping back. Did come to pit lane early, got fresh tyres on, particularly whilst the track temperature's a little bit high. There is some tyre deg in there, but the biggest reason that he lost time out of that whole cycle was actually a couple laps out of draft. So he should have been able to make gains. The problem is the leaders have just caught lap traffic. The biggest thing for them right now is, does Cameron Downs flip over into fuel save mode, or does he try and use those lapped cars to see if he can shoot off in the distance and just really use them as a pick? So there's a couple decisions there, but the field is starting to get really, really spread up. We've actually got cars dotted most of the way around the racetrack. It's clumps of cars, which is very typical for Indy, but we now have a situation where the racetrack is actually quite spread out as well. So, if you've got speed and you're in one of these packs, it's time to show it. It's full rich time. I don't think there's any saving that needs to go on here.
Yeah, the problem for Dance is he's lost most of that gap he had over Lucas Prada, because he's caught up to Jonathan Ben as we ride on board with Dan Stevens here in P15. He's chasing down Jake Fox and Hayden Kirk. Kirk has been the one making the moves here, trading things around in this pack, and a little bit, it's hard to tell sometimes. Is it low for the cars in front, or is it high for Stevens? Either way, it's a good exit, and he's going to go 3 wide into turn 1. Hold your breath. And I think Jake Fox taking a very smart play there to back out of it into the first turn.
Yeah, this is not a track that you want to go 3 wide into the corners. One, there is physically not enough room there hardly. Second of all, as we get further down into this run and further away we get from the previous caution, there is the possibility of marble buildup on the outside. This is our first time to Indianapolis Motor Speedway with the new track resurface that they did a couple of seasons ago on a patch build, and I'd be interested to see if, once those rubber build up happens, if a car gets up there and actually gets understeer and crashes into the wall like they do in real life.
Yeah, well, the marbles were basically what helped grant Dan Weldon his Indy 500 win back in, I think it was 2009, potentially. So they can certainly decide races here. You're cornering at well over 300 kilometers per hour as Dance moves to the inside and decides, okay, been behind Jonathan Ben for long enough, going to put him a lap down and continue on in the lead here. Maybe catch some slipstream of Sam Harper now as well to try and manage that gap back to Lucas Prada.
It's a really good opportunity. If Cam Dance, I was just sort of riding with him for a couple laps again. I'm just picking up screenshots and views of cars up and down the field. And the reason that we're doing that is just trying to put together a picture of what exactly they're trying to do. Cam is fuel saving. He is not pressing on. The biggest advantage of being second in line is that you've got the guy ahead punching the hole in the air. The biggest weakness of being a leader is you've got nobody to draft off. Lap traffic solves that problem. The issue now is Prada's already been able to pick off Jonathan Ben. This now becomes a problem for the next few cars that are in the line. But Cam Dance was one of the longest runs on fuel, was one of the quickest cars through pit lane. He's already looking to extend that margin. So he's got 2 laps extra of fuel over Lucas Prada, pit at the end of lap 37. And then Cam Dance says, I need to get tighter. I think he might have just barely grazed the barrier there too.
That's about as close as you can get. Sorry, Race, I was about to say, that's about as close as you can get to touching the wall without actually hurting the car. And the thing is, if you hit the wall like that any harder, that will add damage to your vehicle, and you cannot fix that without a faster pair.
Every driver in the field in the Major Series gets one fast repair that they can use over the course of the race. And there's going to be quite a few drivers at the back of the field that have already used it. So they'll be in danger for the rest of the race. And in a long race like this, you want to do everything in your power to preserve that fast repair. You know, if you pick up a tiny bit of damage that can be fixed without a fast repair, you just go and fix it manually in the pits. You don't take the fast repair because you never know when you might need it.
Yeah, it's a crutch. That's the wrong terminology. It's a safety net. And you want to operate with that safety net for as long as you physically can. There's a couple cars that have already had that safety net removed. But the biggest thing is, we actually haven't even seen, a second safety car. That's it. That's all that we've seen. For those cars that are off the lead lap, that's what they are relying on. That is their window back into the race. We're going to talk about fuel windows here today. Looking for green flag windows, somewhere around the lap 33 to 35 range. In green flag conditions is about as far as you possibly can. If you mega save, you can certainly go further. What does that make our fuel windows look like? Well, from the end of the race, lap 167 is a window. Lap 134 is also a window. We've just heard there's been an incident for Stephen Banks as well. So the critical lap numbers that we're looking at is about lap 101. From there, it'll become effectively the same sort of thing. It'll be lap 60, 68. To connect the dots. So that's the number that we're looking for. If we get to a window that's after 68, but is available for some of these guys to take a pit stop, that's where you get a lap back. The problem right now is that the run that we're on does not offer that extension and that flexibility for some of these cars to earn a lap back. So they need another caution that's in a tidal window, and that's a big contact at the outside of turn 1, the replay from Stephen Banks. Could that be the first with the marbles kicking in?
Yeah, just looked like he fired it into turn 1 and the car just wouldn't respond. I think he might have actually clipped the wall on the way into turn 1 as well, maybe glanced off the end of the safer barrier, and that just induced a bunch of understeer in his car. And yeah, he couldn't get the front end to cooperate. And so, yeah, big contact of the wall between turns 1 and 2. Currently in the pits, getting that mechanical black flag cleared and evidently electing not to use his fast repair. I don't have the information in front of me as to whether or not he actually had it in the first place, whether or not he'd already used it before that point. But regardless, a long time spent in the pits for Stephen Banks, some heavy suspension damage to the right-hand side of his car. Well, back to our battle for the lead. Cam Dance still up here behind Sam Harper, running in 29th position. This is a good slipstream for Cameron Dance, allowing him that opportunity to continue saving fuel, but Lucas Prada is starting to gain on him here. And the problem for Dance is, yeah, maybe he could put Sam Harper between himself and Prada, but look ahead. There is a completely empty racetrack ahead of Harper, and Dance's fuel saving days will be over, Lynn.
Yeah, it's another about 2 turns or so to the next car that would be at threat of going a lap down. That would be the 601 of James Horn, and I don't know if I necessarily want to be hanging around behind that car without a rear wicker on it. So at this moment, Cameron Dance is hoping that Sam Harper will be his best friend for as long as possible to stay out front. And if you're Harper, you're kind of, it's not a fun place to be. You know that there's always a risk of you going a lap down at any one point, but at the same time, you can't really bail out of this situation because this is your only chance to stay on the lead lap if a caution were to come out. Scott, why are you trying to risk it everything by saying there's only been one safety car so far?
Well, but the thing is, I've got to connect. My spreadsheets are going to make numbers connect, right? And that's
on the phone. 606 was wrecked.
Oh boy, here we go. No, I'm going to put this one on Lynn. Lynn said caution most recently.
Yeah, well, it's Dino Vella who's picked up a mechanical black flag and has entered the pit lane. Now, Dino was running around about the 26th position, I believe. What happened to him? Coming down through, this is turn 2. Oh, he's a bit high on the exit, and oh my God, that is massive. Oh God. Well, avoiding action being taken by a car to take to the apron, fortunately, that did not result in a caution. Vella was able to roll off the racetrack. Oh dear. Oh dear. It's all going on here in the top 5, and yeah, I can see that Northway's car was wandering a little bit through the turn. So some dramas here for our reigning international region champion. It happened at the exit of 2. He caught the end of the safer barrier.
And I was just about to mention what's popped up on the screen. Track temp is up massively.
Wow.
But Northway has the most downforce of any car in the field. This should be where his car excels.
It's a good point.
But what I was going to say, he hit the outside wall with the right rear, so like I was saying earlier, he might be mechanically a lot looser than everybody else, and that would make him especially susceptible to warm temperatures. We're nearly approaching, I want to say it's 46 degrees centigrade.
Yeah, 47. Yeah. And that's the incident there for Northway. Yeah, he actually hit the end of the safer barrier with the rear of the car. And you can see how he was struggling to keep it straight there as he recovered from the incident. Yeah, I pick up what both of you are putting down here. Yes, Northway is running more downforce than everyone else, which should give him more grip, but maybe that's encouraged him to go for a bit more of an on-edge kind of race car mechanically. And it's ultimately resulting in a car that maybe isn't dealing with these warm conditions as well as he'd like.
Yeah, I'd back that up entirely. I actually had a really, really interesting conversation with Jaden Ojeda at Bathurst 12 Hour, where we were talking about aero, angle, and deflections and those bits and pieces. The more downforce you have, the more the aero of the car wants to actually be run in a very specific, you want the air moving in a very specific manner. And if you've got a car that's a little bit like loose on edge, as soon as you start to yaw that car away, it's moving the air in angles it doesn't want to necessarily move over the aero structure. So if he has got a looser car. But the other thing is you've got to have a car that's free enough to turn through the corners. If you cannot yaw the car, if you have a car that is stuck to the ground, think about a car stuck in glue. Right, you can't move that car forward and backward, but you also can't rotate that car left and right. As the surface underneath the car gets slicker and slicker and slicker, you can yaw the car left and right. The car will rotate quicker, but you've got to find that happy medium. You've got to have a car that wants to rotate, that is not glued to the ground. And yeah, that's exactly the point that Lynn's making. So that's the sciencey stuff behind it.
I mean, this is why we love IndyCar, right? It's a perfect blend of flat out racing, that sort of muscular action that we love to see from motorsport, but also the technical, the engineering side, the laws of physics and how they all come together into this beautiful show that we're seeing. On board here from Michael Hogg, looking back from Dylan Jordan, it looked like Hogg was having a bit of trouble with keeping the rear end in check, and the exit of turn 4, once again, it's not quite falling to his favour. Cross the yard of bricks at the start-finish line to begin the next lap. Looks like, this is not looking like the most stable car out there, Lynn.
Yeah, but that could just be that the track is that hot and everybody's suffering to a certain extent. But I have to give Hogg credit. He's up 12 positions off of his initial start, and for a full-time sports bronze driver, I believe he's the division he's in. That's a very good run going so far. Meanwhile, taking a look at the battle for the 20th position, we have Macarelli ringing in from Italy and North Sim Racing against Daryl Hockey for the Kingsman Racing Sportsman team. Able to get away a little bit slightly going down the back straightaway, and then we take a look elsewhere.
Garen Batten has pitted again, and it looks like there's been a problem for Thomas Hinz as well. It looks like Hinz has had a technical issue and dropped from the server now. So that's another one of our competitors who we were expecting to be way up the field. Of course, Fixed Indy Australia champion is Thomas Hinz, but his internet has decided, Scott, today the answer is no.
Is it internet? Is it PC? Because I remember he's moved a fair bit in recent memory. By the way, update on Jonathan Ben. Jonathan Ben has just pit from out of that lead group of cars as well. That's actually caused a split in the lead group. The top 3 are connected to, I believe it was Sam Harper they were following along, and then the next 4 drivers are disconnected. So that's caused the split. So that's the problem with lap traffic sitting in the middle there, is that driver that's towing you along through that group. Smoke off of turn 2 as well. But yeah, I know Hayden's one of the big issues he's been having lately is new internet connections. So whatever's going on there has been another cause of an issue for him, unfortunately.
Connection dropped due to upload packet loss. That is the message in the server for Thomas Hins. So, it's basically Sim Racing's equivalent of a mechanical issue right there. That is a real shame for Hinsey. Well, a couple of pit stops then complete as drivers start to move forward through the field. It looks like we have pit stops from Jason Lottridge, Dwayne Burns. I don't see anyone else coming in. Actually, Daryl Hockey has decided to jump into pit lane as well after 30 laps complete. Lottridge and actually Burns as well. Burns only completed 28 laps on that stint. So that could be one of two things. Maybe he hasn't saved as much fuel as he's wanted, or potentially he's trying to reverse engineer the rest of the race from here. Regardless, before that pit stop, Burns was one of the highest moving cars in the field. Started all the way back in 29th, and oh dear, that's someone who's looped it in pit lane. Who on earth is that? Michael Hogg.
Hutchison, I think. Oh, no, never mind.
Okay. So Hogg, already we saw struggling with those hotter track temperatures, and he actually already completed his pit stop there. It looks like he spun up the tyres too much trying to get out.
Yep, these the first gear in these machines is a rather low gear, and if you're not expecting that torque to come into play, take a look at his pit stop right here. Everything's all nice and normal. Has one of the earlier pit stops from having qualified at the back. Goes up on the jack, fuels goes in the car, down goes on the jack. Just imagine that there's a pit crew right there. He throttles it up and, whoops, give it a little too much handle.
No tyre warmers in IndyCar. Those tyres are basically ambient temperature, Scott, when they come on the car. So you got to be very careful how you drive the car in those early stages when they've just been bolted on. You've got to tiptoe it out of pit lane almost.
Certainly. One of the other things that's actually relevant, because we're at the back end of fuel runs right now, is just seeing Robert Northway dive to pit lanes. He's only gotten 31, so 30 is that critical number if you haven't got any real support, any drafting support as well. So that shifts the bar just a little bit. But one of the big things is, you're right, tyre temperatures and managing those tyre temperatures, bringing them in. Cold tyres in IndyCar can be horrendous. I cannot tell you the amount of times that I'm getting ready for a qualifying run in IndyCar. You go sailing into turn 1, tyres just aren't there. They're not quite there yet. So your first lap, it's just about building that tyre temp. Number 2 that I was just about to talk about, car balance. We're talking about weight jacker, and that's one of the ways that you'll actually manage it. But fuel balance and where that fuel actually sits in the race car. It sits ahead of the rear axle. It's in that in behind the race driver, so it's quite central to the car. As the fuel burns off though, and look, this could also be a tyre thing, could be burning rear tyres as well, but the general trend on the cars is that as the stint wears away, the car will get looser and looser and looser. You have to manage that with not only your ARBs but also your weight jacker as well. So as you get deeper into that run, loose race car, particularly when we've just had the hottest stint of the race so far.
Yeah, it's absolutely blazing temperatures in Speedway, Indiana at the moment. The track temperature has fallen down a little bit more thanks to some cloud cover. It's back down to 43, but you can really see those wild swings in track temperature. And the drivers obviously don't have that sort of easy from the armchair access to the data that we do. They're in the car, they're focusing on the race, they are feeling how the track temperature is changing, and they have to respond to that in real time. It's a very tough job, Lynn.
Yeah, by default, iRacing has a little menu called the black box, and one of those pages that it will give you the ambient temperature of the air and the cloud cover. From that, you can kind of make a derivation of what the track is, but a lot of these drivers will also run additional overlays in their car that allows them to get extra information, such as what lap times is everybody else running, how long has their stint been. A lot of different choices in that particular market, such as race labs, dual real timing, what's the other one? Sim Hub. There's a lot. There's literally so many options that to go through them all would take like an entire race. And we're already, shockingly, 70 laps through this 200-lap event.
It's absolutely flown by. The only caution we've had so far has been the one at the start. Robert Northway here, having completed his most recent pit stop 2 laps ago, now coming up to 3 laps ago when he crosses the line. Seeing pit stop from Jake Fox, and it looks like James Walker jumping into the pit lane as well from 4th, and Lucas Prada coming in as well from 3rd. Check this out. Lucas Prada saved enough fuel on that stint to eke out 35 laps on that tank. That's frankly ridiculous, Scott.
Yeah, he needed to do something, though. He needed to start going in the right positive direction because he was losing a little bit of ground, the cars behind. The difficulty right now, I was just watching Cam Dance, I thought was due to come to the pit lane probably that lap. He did do some leading on that run, so he didn't get to save the full stint. And I was just keeping an eye on Robert Northway. So he did lead that entire run, but remember he had a lapped traffic assistance for a chunk of that. The difficulty right now is I think Robert Northway's not had a phenomenal pit stop. Lucas Prada, I think, has, and Northway was just a touch in behind. So again, we're seeing some disconnects. Lucas Prada's come out in behind a group of 3 cars that are at each other. Sam Harper's got company. It's Robbie Bradbury and Dylan Jordan.
Okay, so see how this goes for Lucas Prada. His first lap out there on the fresh tyres, and this is going to be interesting for him coming into turn 1. And he's actually gained quite a bit of time on Cameron Dance there. That's interesting. You know what? I've just taken a look at the lane times. Prada, 35.3 seconds from entry to exit. Cameron Dance, 37.7. So Dance has either had trouble getting into pit lane or getting into and out of his box. Something has cost Cameron Dance quite a bit of time there.
And it just takes a little bit... Oh, sorry, Scott.
Go ahead, Lynn.
I was just going to say, it doesn't take much to lose quite a bit of time in the pits. Speaking of which, you noticed briefly that the 99 machine of Tyson Broad got to the lead briefly, but he lost quite a bit of time because he tried to go an extra lap, hanging on to it. I was looking at him, and he fought the lawn and almost the lawn. The current average race lap per circuit for each of these cars is about in the 41.5 second range. His last lap before he pitted was a 42.1. He tried to stretch it out, and it almost bit him.
Just wondering whether or not he's trying to connect a fuel number as well, because remember we're 70, right? We're at lap 60, 69, lap 70. That gets you 190 effectively if you're running 30 lap stints, but if he can run that little bit extra. Now, we've been green for such a long period of time, and yes, again, I'm running the risk of absolutely cursing and ruining that, but the trend of the race is heading in that direction of we may have had a one and only caution. I have a feeling there'll probably be a second or a third later in. But if you get eliminated on your off sequence in terms of strategy and not in the window, could you imagine if that caution flies and Tyson's the only driver who's still yet to pit? He gets a free kick. He forces half the field to potentially take a wave by. And that's exactly what he wants to do. He effectively eliminates drivers. The problem is, if you're the only car that's still out there that hasn't pit, when you pit, everyone else has just come back out. For everyone who's still on the lead lap, they will effectively start back ahead of you. You'll just be in a better position on fuel. So you will start at the end of the line of guys who don't come to pit lane.
And the other thing to think about if you're doing that, if you're the only car out there by yourself, you've run your fuel to the ragged edge and a caution comes out. Oh boy, guess what happens? Pit road's closed. You're going to go cop a penalty if you try to pit for emergency fuel right there.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of factors that Tyson Broad will have to take into account there. He's still up quite a ways from his starting position, up 8. But looking through the field, it seems like the driver up the most positions is Bevan Larassi in the 603. Started 36th up to 18th place. So, well, that's a pretty simple maths there. 18 positions gained for Bevan. And he might have some very close company here with Christian McCrelly only a few tenths of a second ahead of him. Could make it up another position very shortly. Looks like McCrelly with Dino Vella now. Dino 2 laps down. As we check a bit further up the field to Stuart Elder, towing along the 620 of Dwayne Burns. And Burns himself is a driver who we often expect to be strong on the oval side. Whenever we've been in stock cars, particularly historic ones, Burns has been right on the pace, and he certainly has some great options to work from. Oh, there's been a crash. Oh, there's been a big crash. Bevan Larassi in the wall, in the fence. And my lord, the caution is out for Jason Lottridge. Oh, that is a massive incident.
On Lottridge, there is a complete rear end off a car for Larassi. And Larassi, I think, was in the lap 1 issue as well, because he did come to pit lane then, unless he came to pit lane all the way back then for fuel only, but I don't think he did. I think he may be done for the day.
Yeah, oh, that's such a shame for Bevan, and completely no fault of his own. We are back under caution, but Jason Lottridge, between turns 1 and 2, hit the wall and bounced off the infield wall of the racetrack. Poor Bevan had nowhere to go, very little time to react. He was dealing with McCrelly in front of him as well. Man, this is going to be one heck of a replay, but our second caution of the race is out, and this is what happened to Lottridge. Through the first corner he comes, and it washes up and wide, hits the end of the safer barrier, bounces off the safer barrier on the inside, and there goes Bevan Larassi.
There is no more helpless feeling than being a wrecked car like Lottridge there, having wheels fall off, you're holding the brake, desperately trying to get your vehicle stopped, but if the wheel's falling off, it's not going to give you any mechanical grip. So he's just, you see these front tires smoking, and Larassi ended up in a rather unpleasant situation. You might remember a couple of years ago in the IR01 Speedway 500, there was a bit of a space program on that side.
Yeah, indeed. And I think from Larassi's perspective there, he would have seen McCrelly checking up, and Christian was doing the exact right thing there. He was on the brakes. He was looking ahead of him to see how the situation was unfolding. Unfortunately, Bevan, I think, was so close to him that he was caught out by that, and he may have felt that he had no choice but to go high and just hope for the best, Scott.
Well, if I was in Bevan's shoes, I'm committing, because the problem is when you look at it is really, really difficult to do, and this is a sim racer's decision versus a real world driver's always going to jump on the brakes there because there's so much potential for injury in that incident. But as a sim racer there, my options are I can't come low, I have to go high, I have to bury the foot through the firewall, because if he doesn't clear him before he gets back, when cars come back up the track at Indianapolis, they tend to stay high, particularly the angle he's coming out. You just got to bury your foot in the firewall and hope. There's literally nothing else you can do. You're 100% right. He's a passenger. If he jumps on the brakes there, the window's not going to open up. The overspeed that he had on the car that was to the low side as well, there's nothing he could have done. So for Larassi, that's nothing he could have done there.
It's really unfortunate. And I think also another point to make is that he was already high at the time, and he was carrying a lot of speed through the corner. If he jumped on the brakes at that point, he would have been guaranteed to go on the wall anyway.
Not guaranteed to go on the wall, but guaranteed to be just left with no less options. His only option was to turn the throttle. Remember how I was talking about potential windows for cars to get their lap back? We have 2 cars that have stayed out. One of them was our race leader. There will be 0 cars getting their lap back under this caution. So Lucas Prout and Robert Deloach both stayed out. Deloach is looking for a little bit of track position. Didn't necessarily have a whole bunch of it, but he has stayed out here. What this has done is it did previously stick a whole bunch of lapped cars in between our race leaders and Cameron Dance, who is the first car on tyres. There is less now, but there's about 5 cars between him and the race leader.
And everyone from 23rd to 21st came into the pits under that caution. While we're under this caution, we can check in with another segment of the standings coming into this round. The Legends Championship for drivers over 50 years of age. Robert Deloach currently leading that championship, and well done to him too, because he found himself in second place under this caution. Ray Partridge, currently running 10th in the race, is second, and Dan Stevens, 12th in the race, third. So we've got plenty of good battles in this Legends Championship, and plenty more yet to come this year. We'll see what Robert Deloach will be able to do here, because, he stayed out under this caution. He decided not to come into the lane and try and get some track position here in the short term, Lynn. We'll see how he can work with this.
A whole lot of agendas are at play right here as we get a delayed green to let some positions sort out right here. One car is going to take an opportunity to jump back into the open pit road to get some service. So, a point I was going to make before everything exploded off in turn 2, the leader, Lucas Prado, was leading the line at the moment of caution, and he had a whole bunch of lap cars behind him. One of those cars was Sam Harper directly behind him. As soon as Lottridge started to crash, they're on the same team, so Harper would have been aware of the incident going on. He managed to jump out, get ahead of Prada, and get his lap back, so he was able to cycle all the way around to get back on the lead lap. That is going to be a big factor going into this race, because now Prada has stayed out. Harper is basically put a lap on everybody that was behind him in that chase group.
So working out okay for Sam Harper, back on the lead lap now, and he'll have plenty of people to slipstream off everyone else who pitted under caution ahead of him, as we find our way potentially to a green flag here. We had a black flag for Michael Hogg. That was apparently it was assigned a while back by iRacing, but he still has a black flag to his name on the timing screen. Something else may have happened to him when he pitted under caution. Potentially got off the pit limiter too early. Well, we're seeing that there was an end of line for car 03. That was Jason Lottridge, but I don't know where the end of line for Hogg came from, as we're back under green. Already drivers making moves here in the midfield. Lucas Prada under big pressure here. Ewan Baker trying to get one of his laps back, followed very closely by Dylan Jordan, another one of our lapped cars in between the race leader and the battle for second place. Robert Deloach now in touch with our race leader, and this is Prada's opportunity to save fuel. Remember, he didn't pit under caution, so now he has to commit to saving in order to extend this stint as much as he possibly can.
Current overcut between the Prada and Dance Machines is about 8 laps on this stint. Deloach is another 2 laps behind, so obviously for these cars it is a gamble to stay on a plan. Everybody else is going to be essentially reset with 117 laps to go.
Robert Northway getting past John Fillingham, putting a car in between himself and James Walker in the battle for fourth. And now Northway right on the back of Dance, but he's lifting out a little bit on the straight there. He doesn't want to be going for the move here. It's a very difficult situation for our leaders to be in here, Scott. Coming off the caution, they're in and amongst a ton of lap traffic.
Yeah, there's a lot of lap traffic here. I've actually just seen Dean Moll just dive through on Bevan Laracy, so I called it wrong earlier on. Laracy did still have a faster pair available to him. He is still back out there, but the big key is that our lead group are back together. Dylan Jordan and Ewan Baker are in a precarious position because they absolutely do not want to let these guys back through. You'll see these guys probably look to try and work together at this point in time, because right now they've got a lap back. It's a tenuous lap. It's a risky lap. At any stage, they could possibly lose it. But if they are going to be in contention for results when they pay them, they need to sit out here. Michael Hogg's going to return to the racetrack after his issues, so he'll get back out there. And there was one car I thought exited potentially a closed pit lane exit under that caution period. I'm wondering whether or not that might have been Hogg.
Yeah, you know what? That I think is a good call. I think that's exactly what happened there. Well, see what Hogg can do to recover from that. It's been a tough race for him. And it's continued being tough for Robert Northway as well, because I noticed as you were talking there, Scott, coming out of turn 1, he once again just clipped the end of the safer barrier. That's a big dive to the inside from Dean Moll. Oh, and he's very close with John Fillingham. Robert Northway will be liking this. It allows him to gap Moll somewhat. Dean, of course, a long-time competitor in the majors. And he loves his Indy cars. He's been strong at the Speedway 500 in the past. But all this chaos seems to be getting to everybody, Lynn.
And the thing about it, it's even though this is IndyCar racing, it is still a super speedway. If you're going to send it in that deep, you need a hole to get into, and there was simply no place for Dean Moll to go beside the Fillingham car that's maybe 2 laps down, but he still has a right to the racetrack right there. So unfortunately for Dean Moll, that didn't work out for him there, but meanwhile, he's going to re-attack the Walker machine, the 97, and get in front of him. He's going to lock down that position and put Walker into a vulnerable position against Garen Batten, but Batten's going to back off a little bit. Allied cars. Meanwhile, Steele slides in on the high side and washes up a little bit, but it's not that dirty up there, so he's able to hang on to it for a little bit.
Go on, Scott. You had something to say?
Yeah, John Fillingham, that last lap by, he had a real big wriggle off the top of turn 2, so it's just a little bit concerned for him. He's under pressure because this segment of the race is also quite critical to him, and have a look at the air get chopped off as he gets through the middle of turn 1. He's diving low. See the look at the entry? There's a lot of clear air, and then off the exit. Oh, that'll finish him off.
There we go. Oh, he's coming back onto the racetrack. Oh dear, that's involved multiple cars. Oh, that's massive. Good Lord. Daniel Stevens involved, Christian McCrelly as well, Ray Partridge, Hayden Kirkle falling down the order. I think that's about 10 cars that have been involved in that incident.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And all that was caused by Fillingham. We're literally just about to talk about aero and how the air is sensitive, and we got the perfect example of it. So there was free air to the bottom of the entry of the corners. But the problem is, that's where everybody wants to drive. Dan Stevens is trying his bit. If he can get this back on the asphalt, he might be able to get the car back to pit lane, in which case he may stay on the lead lap. Maybe.
He's struggling. He is struggling
he's not
hard.
going to make it.
There's no drive in that car. I think Dan Stevens' day might be done if he... there we go. He's called it. Toes back to pit lane. Well, he may well have a fast repair still in hand, but he'll have to deal with that tow time. See how dejected he is. Oh man, look! Oh my God, yeah, he's very much not happy with how things went down there. Well, this is going to be one heck of a replay. Fillingham bouncing back onto the racetrack, and I think I can see what happened to Stevens. You'll see him just flick off to the left there. There's Stevens and Fox. So Jake Fox tried to take avoiding action when Fillingham bounced back up the racetrack. Unfortunately, Fox turned across Stevens, and that's what took him out.
The thing about when a crash happens in front of you, first you got to look after yourself. Then you got to look after your competitors. The moment you start seeing a car coming back across the track like that, you need to get away. And I feel like the problem is with everybody so close together. I called it a minute ago. It's super speedway racing. There's just not a whole lot of space to be able to back up and give everybody room. Take a look at it from the chopper right here. Stevens, look at the Fox machine. He's going to check up real quick, start evading to the left because that car is in the way, and holy cow, look at the rebound on that Fox machine.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest bounces I've ever seen. And if people have piled in basically at full speed here. I don't think everyone was fully aware of what was going on at that point. If you want someone who, oh my god, yeah, Chalker just right into Fox there. If you want to view as someone who made it through all of that, Justin Morton, car number 9, he was off the power nice and early, and he saw it coming from a mile away. So this is the view here on board from Morton. You'll see it happen here. There's Fillingham bouncing off the barrier. All the chaos erupts ahead. Morton on the brakes. Everything just going on at once there for Morton, but he found a way through, Scott.
Yeah, and the other one I was going to mention was Julian Mookie. You can see him actively using the brakes, but remember Mookie's out without a fast repair, so he had to survive that one if he possibly could, and he got tagged on the rear. I think they're going to reattach his rear wing. If that's the case, I think he should be good to go.
Well, now we fall back under caution again to begin lap 91 of 200, and calls to pit lane from a few drivers. Seeing that Ben Doughty in pit lane, obviously, one of the cars involved in that caution. Robbie Bradbury jumping into the lane. Jason Lottridge as well. Roger Shank has come in from P36, already 8 laps down. Other than that, doesn't look like many takers to pit lane other than the ones that we've just seen come in. So Prada, Dance, everyone behind them all the way down to Dylan Jordan in 17th have found their way into pit lane. This time Hayden Kirk is the driver who has stayed out under this caution. Jonathan Ben and Robbie Bradbury as well. No, Bradbury's just taken a stop. Jonathan Ben, Bevan Laracy, Morton, Vella, Lottridge, they've all gone for track position here and stayed out too.
And a lot of those staying out, taking the wave around. A couple of cars, the Ben machine is going to get back on the lead lap. He's going to be 11 laps into this stint. A couple of other cars will go from 2 laps down to 1 lap down. And Hayden Kirk is obviously going to take the opportunity to try out clean air. And this is going to be a really interesting experiment right here. The Kirk machine, one of a couple of cars that is running a full-length rear wicker on his rear wing, and I'm going to be interested to see how that car handles clean air.
I'm going to be interested too, and well, I'm noticing that James Horn expressed a lot of displeasure in the InSim text chat, and reviewing that incident that brought out the caution again, I can see why, because Horn was doing the exact right thing. He got on the brakes. He was hard on the brakes to try and avoid it as the green flag flies, but he was absolutely taken out by everyone behind, piling in. But Hayden Kirk is going to lead us away here for the first lap of this new stint. And Lucas Prada is right behind him. Cameron Dance on the charge as well. Robert Deloach in all of this has managed to stay in 4th place, and Robert Northway may well want to pass him here, but potentially not. It's working out pretty well for our Legends Championship leader there.
Just saw an issue towards the tail end of the field as well, something to do with Michael Hogg, and his issue was the fact that he couldn't get going because he had another, I think it was an end of longest line penalty, or it's some sort of pit lane exit penalty. He's picked up another one, and unfortunately that's impacting a lot of drivers around.
Scott, you know what he's probably bumping into? There's just this most recent patch, they changed the pit outline to where you can't cross over it at all. I wonder if Hogg came.
That might be it. That might be it, because I was looking at it. I was looking at it in the rules tab in Sim. Stay to the left of the white line that indicates the pit exit access road between turns 1 and 2. In patches past, this is when he got the black flag, apparently.
Well, that's a passing to the left.
Passing on the inside on the way to the green flag. Yeah. That would have been it, but still, very good point. As there's been a bit of chaos in the area of Robert Deloach just now. He's fallen back to 7th, and looks like there was a little bit of a dive to the inside from Ryan Steele to try and get some positions. Robert Deloach ended up getting tagged by his teammate Aaron Batten, and oh no, another car around.
That was the hog machine.
was-
Coming back up to speed, they got 3 wide ever so slightly, and I believe the dreaded word of the internet, netcode, played a factor in this collision.
Yeah, it definitely did. Reviewing that, they came into turn 3, and Michael Hogg had Hayden Kirk and Dean Moll and Lucas Prada who was inside. Now, you got to remember, Prada is racing from Central Europe, so netcode is going to be a massive factor for him. Rewind a bit here because we did miss the run up the inside there from Ryan Steele, and then a little bit of a tag between the two Fusion teammates there. Mole to the inside of Prada, and then they were coming up on Michael Hogg here, coming into turn 3. And he's straight out of the pits. He's going high here in turn 3 to allow them to go, but Prada going 3 wide here. Look at how much space there was between the cars when contact was registered, Scott.
Yeah, unfortunately. Oh, boy.
Oh, no. Who was that got took out there? Oh, it's Dino Vella, already very embattled in this race. And that's just one more blow that he has to take.
Unfortunate. I think that might be the end of it for him. And the other thing I'm just thinking about strategy at the moment is have a look at where everyone is in terms of pit lane strategy. The problem is we have now got cars on the lead lap that are offset completely to each other. I don't think anyone that's off the lead lap is ever going to get... They're going to have to earn their laps back is the only way to get back onto the lead lap, I think, now.
Yeah, tough, very tough. The way this race has gone. Many drivers... Well, everyone who pitted under the last caution, just about everyone, has stayed out there. Mole, Prada, Steele, Dance, Northway, everyone down to Daryl Hockey. Hayden Kirk, who stayed out under the last caution, has taken his pit stop, and so he'll reset on strategy. Jonathan Ben taking a pit stop too. Same for Dylan Jordan down in 18th place. Morton, Laracy, Lottridge and Baker also making their way through the pits as well. Kirk going to come out in P15, which, got to say, isn't the worst position to be in. Yeah, go on then.
I was going to say, the machines that we're seeing coming out of the pits right now, these are ones that took the wave around on the previous caution, so this has benefited them greatly. They're going to be able to have this overcut to work with for about 6 laps or so. So if it goes green past the halfway point, which, by the way, is a very important point because that's when full points get awarded for vehicles that complete that distance. But that overcut could potentially work its way further down. Scott, you might have to get your abacus out for that one. I want to say that'll save him a short pit stop later.
So the critical number generally is what we're looking at is about lap 100. Anything prior to 100, you're going to have a splash and dash confirmed. From lap 100 onwards, you hit the realm where it's a lot of saving, but it's doable. So lap 100 is realistically the target. Anything less than lap 100, everyone's still in the same strategy, effectively. Next caution, you should see the bulk of the field pit. The next window we're going to get that's about lap 130 to 133. But it'll be each caution from here will be 133 is probably the next big window after lap 100, and then from there you're looking about lap 166 to 170. Closer to 170, the better, and you'll see more cars pit for that.
Yeah, the old 33.3 recurring. You divide 100 into 3. You can make it 33 laps to a tank if you save enough fuel. In green flag conditions, you might make it a bit less than 30 if you don't have anyone to slipstream with and you're running full rich. So, as the numbers we work with just about every year here at the Speedway 500. And, yeah, I'm in full agreement with the both of you. Next caution, we're going to be seeing everyone try and get on their strategy towards the end of the race. But for now, as the lights appear to be out on the pace car, Dean Moll is going to be the one leading the way on this restart. Lucas Prada still there in second place. He's been up the front of this field the whole way through. Started on pole position, of course, but he's playing this race well. Yes, netcode has not smiled on him from time to time, and of course it's been more in his favour than others, but as the green flag flies, he's a bit caught by surprise there as Mole gets off to a lightning start. Let's see what Dean will be able to do here. A driver who we've seen a lot of in the international region of the Majors Series, sticking tight through turns 1 and 2. And now the surge will begin from further back. Ryan Steele was very aggressive before the caution came out. Finds himself in third. And now decides to stay behind Lucas Prada for the moment, but he's starting to make gains out of turn 3 then.
Just getting up to speed now. These cars still have warm tires from the caution beforehand. And the only car that we're seeing stepping out of line at the moment is going to be that Tyson Broad machine, number 99, charging his way down to the inside, gets alongside the Northway machine, but now he's got no place to go but right behind him. Northway is going to give him the space in the meantime. Can't make this connection work. Broad has to slide in behind Northway.
And that cost them both a little bit of time in the short term. Surge up from the inside from James Walker, trying to pass Robert Deloach, and succeeds. So Deloach and Batten, two drivers who started well in the top 10. Batten starting third, of course. Deloach, remember, Legends Championship leader. He wants to try and stay in the top 10 here to get as many points as he can. James Walker, the overall championship leader, in 8th place here. Wayne Hutchison just ahead of him. Broad versus Northway again. But Northway is looking supreme on the high line. They almost make contact on the way out of the corner, though. Northway's downforce is working well for him here, Scott.
3 wide as they go down the back straightaway, though. Tyson Broad, Robert Deloach, and Wayne Hutchison. They manage to shuffle themselves out as they get into 3 and 4. It is crunch time. We're not at a fuel window, and that means this next run is all about track position for the 99 machine of Broad. Lost a little bit of that. The problem for him keeps finding himself on the bottom as he gets into the even-numbered corners. Your odd-numbered corners, that's what it's all about. It's all about the dive-in, but the even corners, you're looking for the runoff.
And the yellow's out again.
Here we go.
Oh, dear. Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Oh, Partridge, one of the KSR cars. That might be Hayden Kirk. Yeah, it is. Oh, dear. Massive damage. And, well, we have a couple of drivers who are far from impressed on the radio. Tom Dreiling losing his nose cone. So now we'll see how this one happened. It was a spectacular trip to space for Hayden Kirk. It was all caused by Christian McCrelly making contact with Ray Partridge in turn 1. And you know, calling as many races as I have here at Indianapolis, I know truly how difficult turn 1 is running side by side. Partridge was in the process of getting passed by McCrelly, but Christian just pushed up here. I think a bit of aero disturbance. Partridge got sent to the wall. Hayden Kirk had nowhere to go, and Dreiling probably would have had a few vertebrae smashed if that was a real race.
Unfortunately, it is not a real race because, yeah, I was about to say a lot of those cars having a massive amount of G-force. I would think back to Kenny Brack's incident in 2003, admittedly a different racetrack, but still, that was a very violent collision. And as you see, Marcarelli, even though he pushed up, he gets the least worst out of the deal, but we'll see what the stewards have to say about that. In the meantime, we see fortunes change very rapidly. We just saw this Hayden Kirk machine at the front a little bit ago, and then all of a sudden he's right at ground zero for this collision. Take a look at it again. Bam!
Oh,
he's rotating around.
Out. Oh.
Yeah, and this is borderline a zippy collision, as the iRacing staff like to call it. Some of us call them Delara tornadoes, but thankfully that one dissipates just in time for Hayden Kirk to not have to hit the eject button.
The thing is, I think he stuck the landing. So however many barrel rolls, that one will go to the judges, and I think he's going to get good points for that, the rotation on that.
Yes, he certainly will. Unfortunately, those points won't count towards the Majors International Championship. So Hayden Kirk will get what repairs done that he can and hopefully get back out there. Dylan Jordan has moved to the front of the field. Our leaders all coming in, everyone from Dean Mole in second to Jonathan Ben down in 17th have jumped back into the pits there, and well-timed too. I mean, I remember what you said, Scott. Next caution, everyone was going to pit, and it looks like that's exactly what our lead group has done, and they will be able to get their 3 stints to the end quite easily here. Meanwhile, McCrelly has been given a 30-second stop and hold for causing that incident.
The problem being is that we're having a look at our new race leader. Guess when he pit last caution. And this is something I've been tracking over the last couple of cautions as well, is that each and every caution we've got at least one driver pitting. And the problem is when you only get a couple laps with the green flag running, that driver then just goes, okay, well, I'm just going to flip it. I'm going to get my way to the front. So it's going to allow a whole bunch of drivers to get back on the lead lap. But I would say from here, there are very, very few cars that we're going to lap back because we're not going to get the run distance that we need to allow what's happening. So we had that big green flag run all the way back at the start end of the race. Well, yeah, unfortunately, we're not able to connect the dots. Here goes the wave bars, though. So there'll be a few cars here that'll get their way back on the lead lap. One car and a good buddy of mine that I've been keeping an eye on throughout the race, Julian Mookie, is still stuck at 2 laps down and has been the whole race.
Yeah, it's tough for the number 39, but Daniel Stevens getting a wave through. We also see looks like Julian there unfortunately stuck, but this is going to be all right here for Dan Stevens. Remember, he was involved in the incident that brought out I think the last caution. No, it was the one before that.
Second caution.
Yeah. The one before that, where John Fillingham bounced back up the racetrack. So this is a small silver lining for Stevens in the number 3. He is still classed a lap down on the rest of the field, but he has gained 1 lap back. And come the next caution, if he stays in that position, he'll be able to get back on the lead lap. So maybe this is Dan Stevens' race half resurrected.
And the difference is a couple of spots. If under that last run, here's the tricky part with trying to get your lap back. Actually, this is going to go green. So the critical thing is you've basically take a caution by caution. One caution you press on, the next caution you'll fuel save. One caution you'll press on, the next one you'll fuel save. Is generally the best way to go.
Well, find out how Dylan Jordan deals with being the car that didn't pit and leads the way as the green flag flies once more. Starting lap 105. Now, he has really gotten a great start, well ahead of the rest of the cars there, and actually the cars that didn't get their wave around, they're actually separating Dean Mole from Dylan Jordan. Mookie already making some moves to get past him there and get another lap back. Tyson Broad, meanwhile, dealing with Robert Northway around the outside. Once again, the superior downforce of the KSR machine allows him to take that outside line, but not without a few heart-and-mouth moments.
And the thing is, he's got to clear him on the entry to 1. If he can clear him on the entry to 1, he's okay. He gets the job done. If you can't slide up and take that away between 1 and 2, that's where you get no run off the straight, and that's where James Walker's. That's the 3rd or 4th time now Tyson Broad's tried to do the same thing. So he's now going to come up with another strategy, because every single time he's had to go at Robert Northway, he's either gotten very close to losing a spot or has lost 1 or more spots. So he's got to find a different way to approach that one next time.
For sure. Now, so keep an eye on Mole here. You'll notice that just up ahead of them, Dylan Jordan has allowed the lapped cars by him for the most part. Next car to get up the inside of him is going to be Adam Johnson running P24. So Michael Hogg, Julian Mookie, Adam Johnson all in front of Dylan Jordan now. And that has allowed Dean Mole and Lucas Prada, Cameron Dance, etc. to close up that gap. But this is a very similar situation, Lynn, to what we saw with Prada a few cautions ago, and Dance as well. Getting those lapped cars ahead of you allows you to slipstream and fuel save.
I don't know if he necessarily let the lap cars by because the Jordan machine is running that 24-inch wicker on the rear wing. So, but he has 3 cars in front of him. It's basically like running a sled, but hold on. Kids. The old parable of Santa's sleigh is 2x2, not 3 wide. So, in the meantime, Jordan is going to be slipstreaming away. He does have the fastest lap of the race. What number did he pop on that? That was a 40.405, way back on lap 38. That was a big slipstream number, but in the meantime, that has allowed the mold machine to come back into play. Ooh, one of the lap cars in front of Jordan just scraped the wall. What are we looking at here?
We're looking at potential chaos erupting as these lap cars don't seem to be able to decide what order they want to be in. And in the midst of all of that, the battle for the lead as well. Dylan Jordan has tyres that are a bit more up to temperature and a slightly lighter car than everyone behind him. So he has that small advantage. But I would expect that Dean Moll, look at the gains that Moll just made there on the back straight, Scott. He is potentially looking at a charge here. Half trying to catch up to Jordan, half trying to keep Prada behind him.
Yeah, the thing is, though, the lap cars are not going to give these guys a break. So right now, I think this is fuel save. Again, maintain track position, but fuel save. And the reason the lap cars aren't going to cut these guys a break, remember I said we are now past that critical lap number where it becomes even more difficult to get laps back. So what you've got right now is you've got Adam Johnson and you've got Julian Nookie, who I believe are now at 1 lap down, and indeed they are. They're looking to stay there. The 744 machine of Michael Hogg, he's at 3 laps down, so he's less important to this battle, but he is critical to Mookie and Johnson. If the 3 of those cars can work together, here they are. And there we go, we might get the caution. We get the caution.
And it's Cameron Dance and James Walker that have come together, the championship leader involved in this incident. Side by side through turn 3. Dance was compromised down the back straight. Walker tried to get it done on him around the outside there, but Dance washing up. Once you've committed to a turn at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, your trajectory is basically decided.
Okay, what is perhaps the most mild collision of the evening so far? Once we get a look at this replay, you'll see that as Reese mentioned, Dance getting understeer, going into the corner, washing up, doing everything in his power to try to get that machine wound up, but unfortunately the 97 was just there in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I don't know about you, Reese and Scott, but I'm starting to have a little bit of trauma coming back to the last round at Charlotte.
Yeah, true. Yeah, this is certainly going to be interesting here from Walker's perspective. So that's Northway getting past Dance there. It looked like a poor exit off of turn 2 for the Kiwi. And Walker does make those gains, but Dance just tags him in the rear. They both go off right into each other. And, well, that's going to be Walker with a bit of a blow to his championship lead there, unless he can make some kind of recovery.
Well, this is the window. So this lap is, because we're now, I believe, on lap 111. If they pit this under this caution right here, what will happen is they can run full rich to the end of the race. So you're going to see, again, a split on strategy here. And the reason for that is that, yeah, you take the advantage. Now, you stay out here. If you pit under the most recent caution, you are much, much better in your fuel window. And in fact, you may actually be okay. But everyone who pits here is probably good to go on fuel.
Yeah, well, no surprise to see that we have the majority of the field finding their way into the lane here. And well, Lucas Prada was the one to lead the way in there, and it falls all the way down to James Walker, of course. No surprise to see that Walker pitted instantly after that coming together with Cameron Dance, and would have taken his fast repair. Dance given an end-of-line penalty by race control for incident responsibility. So that's a big blow to Dance's race. He was battling up the front practically the whole way through. Now he's got to do all that work all over again.
sitting here just watching and just listening at the moment. Just because I believe there's just a few things going on with race control at the moment. So one thing I did hear in the middle of all of that was, yeah, Cam Dance got that penalty, and there was a few question marks. So I was looking back at that Cam Dance incident right there, and there was actually room to the outside of Walker for him to actually use a little bit more track. Now, the tricky thing is, in terms of reading incidents, if you're looking at who come up and made the contact, yes, I definitely feel like Dance came up the track, but if we're talking race smarts, Walker should have used more of the road because he would have known that Dance was going to come up the racetrack. So I think the lane that Walker ran was always going to trigger an incident. So that's a debatable call on that behalf, and that comes from a lot of IndyCar racing personally. So that's the decision making I would have made. Now, can you police it at a race control? I think it's really, really difficult to get that consistently down. I can see why race control have made that call. So. It's a tough one because racing car drivers will disagree on that call in a lot of instances, and I'm okay with that. I go, all right, yeah, look, I can see what the call was made. I'm just going to move on.
Yeah, because at the same time, if I was, say, the Walker machine, I would probably be looking at the attitude of that Dance machine. And if I think he's going to push up, then I'm already going to be anticipating that and be sliding up anyway. It's very, very difficult to react to a car to your inside sliding up on that way without also compromising your line or possibly running into the wall yourself.
Yeah, but the critical factor was the room he had, and he actually had a fair bit of room to work with there, and that's what I would have been trying to leverage. So, yeah, it's this herein. I mean, can you tell me a sport whereby there's not an umpire's call that everyone's like, oh, I don't know, and that's I hear a lot of complaints about race control calls, and this is the one thing I always point it back to. Tell me a sport in the world where this isn't a problem, because this is why we go racing. It's the differences in these calls. It's the passion. It's the mindset that's in and behind it.
Yeah, time to bring that passion to the fore once more as the green flag flies once again, and Dean Mole leads us into turn one. Now, Mole, Steele, Hutchison, Elder, Harper, and Darryl Hockey did not pit under that caution. They are your top six at the moment. Tyson Broad is leading the cars that pitted. The caution is immediately back out again, and it looks like it's Roger Shank that's brought it out. Interesting, because it looks like potentially a checkup on the way to the restart. Cameron Dance might be in more trouble here because there was a checkup in front of him, and Dance ran into the back of Shank. The rear wing was taken off the 950, and he had no stability in the rear coming into turn one.
Yeah, these things already aren't making a whole lot of downforce to begin with. We only have 2 degrees of maximum angle that you can put in that rear wing, and when that thing falls off, there goes all of your grip on the back. And unfortunately for Shank, he probably had very little warning that that car was going to go around once it did.
So, yeah. There's the checkup, and Dance was very close to Shank at the time, got caught out.
That check came from the front of the field.
Yeah. Big concertina.
Huge concertina. And the problem is, when you've got 30 cars in a race, Dylan Jordan was the car that checked. But it's because everyone ahead of him hit, so he was where the concertina really started to really massively be impacted.
Dear, oh dear. So we'll see it here from Jordan's perspective. They're touring on their way through turns 3 and 4 at the moment. And it looks like McCrelly didn't quite stay in touch with the cars ahead of him. They blended up, and then, you can see it happen just about right there. So, there's the checkup. That's where it starts. And then it just causes chaos. Northway and Broad making contact there. It looks like 2 separate checkups.
Yeah, there is. Bevan Laracy. Bevan Laracy was the checkup. This is the second checkup. But it's because of something else that's happened ahead of him. It might be Jonathan Ben. Stevens as well.
So, oh god, yeah, big contact further back there, and yeah. Seems like, yeah, basically no matter where you were in the field, you would have been under a bit of pressure there, and checkups happening all around. Bit of a messy restart.
Yeah, and unfortunately, in situations like that, the only thing you can really do is wait until the car in front of you absolutely positively is going before you go. But even then, so many gaps in between cars that aren't necessarily being closed up properly, and when they do, it's like one little brake light at the front of a pack on the interstate that travels all the way back, and then eventually you get what happened to the Shank and Dance machines. They just slam into each other.
Yeah, rather difficult. Now, I'm not surprised to see that the cars that stayed out under the last caution have stayed out on this one as well. On lap 117, this will still take us through to the critical lap for 2 stints to go for our top 6. However, they're going to have to pay a bit of debt in the pit lane. They're going to have to fill the car up twice now to get to the end of the race. Everyone from Tyson Broad down to James Walker, they've got an extra 9 laps in the tank. And of course, you know, the numbers won't be completely consistent, because we have spent a lot of those laps under caution. But main point is everyone outside the top 6 and inside the top 20 will have less fuel that they need to put into their cars to get to the end here.
Oh boy, it's going to happen again. McCrelly needs to be on the back of the pack.
Yeah, he's being a bit too sluggish here. This is not good here. There's many car lengths between McCrelly and the next car ahead. Let's just hope for a nice orderly restart here. Dean Moll's going to lead us away once again. And blasting away as Barney waves like mad.
It's happened again.
Ah, dear. Yeah. But this time... Oh, no, we're not. We're not okay. We're not okay at all. That is another yellow out. And this time it was a checkup towards the back of the pack. Ewan Baker getting into the back of James Walker.
This is going silly now. Unfortunately for Ewan Baker, that car is catty corner all over the place. I don't think he's going to make it back without a tow. And again, just you can't be leaving these gaps. And obviously, race control is trying to clamp down on the situation. But at this point, I'm going to throw the idea out here. The leader can lay back as far as he wants for the pace car. I wonder if race car orders him to fall back a little bit, maybe to get the cars restarted sooner.
Well, Christian McCrelly has been given a final warning from race control to not hang back on the restart. Going to get a view on board from Baker's perspective here. James Walker, the car ahead, gets on the power, hesitates, gets on the power again. And then there's the checkup. Oh no, this is not good, guys.
Yep. No, that's yeah. There's not much more really to say. You can just sort of see it, and from Cam you can see he's seeing it coming. And then there's just this right here. There's just a sudden big checkup. And all this is consistency. So I know, I'm pretty sure I've discussed this with you guys both, but for the fans that are watching along at home, it's all about consistency of speed. What happens is that when the gap forms, you've got to run 10 Ks faster to catch the car ahead. Well, the car behind you is then going to close the gap to you, which will open up as well. So he's maybe another 5 to 10 Ks faster than you. And it just keeps going on and on and on and on. And then you eventually have to start to slow down. So you've got to speed up and slow down to catch the car. Eventually there's just such a massive speed differential that no matter what you would have done, it ends up in an accident. So Yeah, we've all seen it. IndyCar is the car that sees it the most, and the reason for that is the high horsepower and high downforce and the ability to just stop. This is the car that has pretty much the biggest effect to start quickly and stop quickly, and that's why you see it. And you see big long fields of 40 cars on ovals with a single file restart. This would be less of an issue if restarts were double file, because remember, you have half the rows, so you have half the rows that can effectively lay up like that. So. But that's why you don't see it in NASCAR. The cars are too big, too heavy, and they don't speed up and slow down all that quickly, so the gaps don't get as big as quickly.
And the other thing is they don't use the restart zones here in IndyCar like they would in NASCAR. So there's a prescribed spot that you would normally restart in. It's on this particular track, it is emboldened on the wall with the big blue Geico logos. But here in IndyCar, you basically, as soon as the pace car pulls off, the leader can go whenever they want. And at this point, I mentioned it before, I think this hanging around waiting a bit is going to start biting these guys, especially with Mole sitting right up there, right up behind Fred Jones, the pace car driver.
So, I think we should be green. Yeah, the safety car lights have come off, so we're back to green this time by. We're going to be 79 to go. That is 2 pit stops to the end of the race, and we're not within a window to get any more back than that at the moment.
Yep. And we are currently unsupervised. Reese has stepped away for a moment, so it's just the techie guys here. Scott Rankin and Lynn Kinchela with you in the booth with Daniel Yeaman on the cams. We're having an interesting time here, I would say, in the past few laps, wouldn't it, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is we got to set back in. Is that Reese rejoining us?
It is. My cat has been fed and he is happy.
Yay!
Well, we've got an opportunity. Quick discussion around the comms box of what animals we have available. So I'm actually going to include Dan Yeaman in this one as well. So I've got a cat and a dog. Lynn, what are you at for pet-wise?
I've got a cat. Her name is Evelyn the Gremlin.
Nice.
And Reese, you're a cat as well. So we're all cat owners here and behind the microphones.
Yes, indeed. And plus a dog for Dan Yeaman. Yeah, Felix, my cat, is certainly one who likes having his meal times at 3 something in the afternoon. So I figured this caution was a good time. Did message the girlfriend to feed him, but it looks like she's having a nap right now. But it's time for us to get back to the racing action here. Let's see if this is going to be a clean restart this time. Dean Molt getting off to a clean start at the front of the field already. Some interesting goings on, and further back there, McCrelly has definitely not held back on the restart here, right underneath Robbie Bradbury in turn 1, but he catches the grass and fortunately gets out of the throttle to avoid any further dramas.
Scott, did you see what I saw on that for the Bradbury machine on that when McCrelly tried to get underneath him?
I did not. Unfortunately, I was looking elsewhere at that point in time. I was watching a number of cars. But you're right, he did push him down. Yeah, okay, I've just seen it.
I was going to tell you, if we can get a replay of that, this is what happens when you don't give respect to your fellow competitors. They give you the same treatment back, and this move by Bradbury is actually quite ingenious. Here we go. Take a look at it. Again, another sloppy restart right here. Bradbury just pinches the McCrelly machine down, all the way onto the curbing. Yeah, the car is going to get very loose at this current speed load.
And it was for position as well, so Robbie Bradbury managing to keep that, but then McCrelly gets it back on the wagon and makes his way past Bradbury, who is now having some trouble with the Fusion cars down low. Well, back up front, Dean Moll and Ryan Steele leading the way here, and Steele is standing out to me as one of the drivers who is not afraid to power up to the back of you in the early stages of a stint. We got Wayne Hutchison up there as well. Remember, all of these drivers in the top 6 here together on your screen, they have got a bit of extra mileage on their fuel tanks. Hayden Kirk's up there with them as well, but he's running in 23rd place. The pack is being led in the drivers that are the effective lead group by Lucas Prada there, who's just hovering behind the car of Sam Harper.
I'll move from Hayden Kirk, though. So Hayden Kirk is out here at the moment. He is trying to earn a lap back. He is at 2 down. If he can get back to 1 down, he's in with a shot, but he's going to have to earn it back, and that's what he's trying to do right now. Again, just pinches, puts Wayne Hutchison in a position where Hutchison's got a lift, puts Ryan Steele in a position where Ryan Steele's got a lift, gets 2 spots back. He is 1 spot away from being back to 1 lap down. Power move time, and Hayden Kirk not holding back.
Yeah, nicely done. And he's gotten it done cleanly as well. There's the move, and he will get past Dean Moll across the start-finish line. And he officially gets another lap back, so he's going to join Daniel Stevens, Adam Johnson, and Julian Mookie as the cars that will get a wave around at the next caution, if/when that happens. We'll keep our eyes peeled here on McCrelly, who's still having those dramas there further back. He's up alongside Dylan Jordan with Robert Northway in the midst of all of that as well. Remember that McCrelly is out of position compared to these cars. Dylan Jordan having to massively lift out there. McCrelly way out of position here. He's down in 24th place. He's 2 laps down, and he's battling with those guys like it's for the win on the final lap. Don't know if Dylan Jordan would be too happy with that. As to 2nd place goes Lucas Prada. This is a big move up from our pole sitter.
Yeah, McCrelly trying to do the same thing that the Kirk machine was doing in trying to get at least one of his laps back on the hard side, but unfortunately he's further back and he's pissed off a lot of people in the process. Meanwhile, up to 3rd is Tyson Broad, one of the cars most on the freshest set of tires at the moment. Just got around Wayne Hutchison for that position. Hutchison, one of our triple Ironmen, the other one being Ray Partridge, running all 3 regions in the majors at the moment. And look at all of these cars slicing and dicing, looking for any kind of opening in the air.
I can't imagine doing 1,500 miles of IndyCar racing in a single weekend. That is frankly insane.
Hey, think about what they did last round in Charlotte. That's 1,800 miles. Holy guacamole.
In a stock car, no less. So, yeah, big respect to those guys attempting the triple Ironman. Hockey maintaining 4th for now. Here comes McCrelly trying to make that push forward to join Hayden Kirk up at the front of the pack, but it looks like Tyson Broad is going to have no part of this. He is going to move back past Hayden Kirk, and this will mean that now Kirk is not able to get that wave around, but he's going to cut under the inside of Broad again. It is an interesting fight when we see that eventuate, Scott, because yeah, they're not fighting for position, but one of the cars is fighting for their right to get a lap back at the next caution.
And the biggest thing is that we're at crunch time. If you're not 1 lap down at the next caution, that's it. Your day's done. So you're going to be stuck at, off the lead lap to the end of the race. What it's creating, though, is have a look at McCrelly. He's now driven up to the inside of Lucas Prada, and there's 2 lanes of draft on the front straightaway. McCrelly is going to try and move his way into 5th spot overall in the queue. Oh boy, this is, I feel moments from disaster right here.
Yeah, I'm puckering as they turn into every single corner here. Look at Hayden Kirk there. He went all the way to the inside of the back stretch trying to break the draft here. He does not want Tyson Broad to pass him again. They're breaking away now from the rest of the field here. Mole falling back a little bit. Daryl Hockey still right behind him. And now McCrelly round the outside of Prada as they come down the back stretch. Not very much slipstream for either of them, but side by side with the pole sitter is certainly a position I wouldn't want to be in. McCrelly just managing to keep it out of the wall, running the high line, keeping the momentum up. Prada's going to move up ahead of him again. Tyson Broad once more, searching for any slipstream he can off the back of Hayden Kirk.
This is starting to get chaotic.
I was about to say, a light switch has flipped on this field. All of a sudden, they were playing nice. Now they're not. The Dragon has awoken. They've been slicing all the way down to the low line, trying to break the draft, trying to get any advantage they can on this field. Meanwhile, move hockey up to second position. Meanwhile, here comes the McCrelly machine again, slicing his way through the field. Holy guacamole, is this car a menace.
But fortunately, it doesn't look like there's been much contact made, if any. McCrelly has been driving well enough that he's given people space, and he's going to go for it here. Massive speed. He'd be running full rich there, and he's going to get past Kirk as well. And that is a pass for position between the two of them. McCrelly now up to 23rd, and they will lead the pack.
And this changes things dramatically because the cars that are leading the way, you now got two. And two cars changes things because now they can actually work together if they want to. But this gives Kirk a little bit of protection now. Going to be a little bit of a fight on for fourth spot between Hockey, and it looks like Northway's going to be the next car to try and swing around the outside. But I think there's Garen Batten car in the infield.
That's Dylan Jordan. Oh, yeah. Whoa, God. Is that, was that Elder?
That was a fusion machine for sure, but yeah.
Yeah, Stuart Elder, no wheels connected to the front end of the car there, no steering for the 115, and the caution is back out again. Well, I guess this is exactly what Christian McCrelly and Hayden Kirk were hoping for.
If we get a look at the replay right here, yep, we're going to get the space-time rewind right on board with Stuart Elder. You see the Jordan machine up ahead, getting loose, and then not correcting in time, gets loose again. Meanwhile, Elder clips a teammate right there, nowhere to go, and yeah, another little zippy collision for the 115 right there.
So that was Justin Morton that he got into, and also it looks like Daniel Stevens has picked up a mechanical black flag and all of that. I thought for a second that Julian Mookie, I think Julian Mookie actually got a mechanical black flag as well from all of that.
No, he's okay. He does not have a mechanical black flag, but he is wounded in a sense. So he's going to try to figure out where he needs to be in this position. As we take a look at the replay again, see what happened to the Stevens machine, see that car flying through the air, and then it's another accordion checkup. Ouch. Same song, different verse for Stevens.
Got tapped in the rear by Robbie Bradbury.
Kind of in the opposite way of the Jake Fox collision a while back. And you also saw the Morton machine, the number 9, was involved in this collision. You may remember all the way back at the initial start, Morton got a lot of damage, and that probably took a spare car then. That's probably Morton done for the evening.
Well, that is a solid shame for Justin Morton. But a raft of activity on pit lane. Basically everybody in the lane now.
What did I say about windows? We're on one of them.
We are. And here comes Lucas Prada here, beating Tyson Broad out of the pit lane there. It's interesting because Prada actually had a slower pit stop, but Broad, I don't think, got out of the box properly. Had a longer lane time than Prada, despite getting the quicker pit stop.
And in that situation, having pit stall number 1, which is the privilege of the pole sitter, makes all the difference in the world. You don't have that far to go to clear the timing line and lock in your position. So move Prada back up into the lead. Meanwhile, Tyson Broad up 18 positions up from this initial start. Garen Batten holding steady in 3rd place. And then the Darrell Hockey machine, the 575, up 28 positions. I see no other vehicle that has climbed that many positions since the start of the race.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff from Darrell Hockey. And I think, Scott, that all came down to him staying out under the last couple of cautions. He was one of the drivers who decided to go for that track position and stay out. Well, it's paid off for him.
Yeah, and remember what I was saying, flip it. Every now and again, you just want to flip it. When nobody else is pitting, you pit, you'll eventually get that track position back. Sometimes you gain, sometimes you lose in those sort of cycles as well. But if you're, the thing is, if you're sitting at the back, you've got no advantage, so you may as well create an advantage of some description. If you're sitting 15th on back, again, you're sitting in a position where you've not got any advantage, so you may as well create one. By the way, 3 cars get their way back onto the lead lap this time. Adam Johnson, Julian Mookie, and have a look at the man that was on the move onto that last run, Christian McCrelly. That was critical for Christian. He drove himself from 2 laps down to 1 lap down. Then he got the wave by. That caution flag earned him 2 laps back.
Yeah, so despite what transgressions McCrelly may have committed under the previous couple of cautions with not maintaining a gap, he has certainly driven well in that green flag run to put himself back in contention to move up the field again. So, yeah, full credit to McCrelly for that sequence of events. Bevan Laracy, meanwhile, has been given an end-of-line penalty for the responsibility in that incident. And it looks like it was all, all caused by him in the end, according to race control. Lights out on the pace car. And we're going to have our pole sitter leading the way here, but the hard-charging Tyson Broad has put himself in contention for victory in this race. Flick down a couple of gears. The time for saving fuel under caution is over. Now it's time to get that fuel map back up to something you want for green flag, and away we go again. Lucas Prada across the yard of bricks leads the way into turn 1. Tyson Broad and Garen Batten following to complete your top 3. Hockey, Northway, Mole, Dance, Deloach, Hutchison and Burns, your top 10.
Break around Wayne Hutchison. I don't necessarily think he was in the right fuel map or gear when they get back to green flag. In fact, I actually think he was in 3rd gear and he just did not get away, and there's now a 2nd marker in between those cars. So, yeah.
Doing a big checkup right there from Hutchison. He got way out of position on the high side, had to back all the way up to 180 miles an hour, a far cry from the 225 mile an hour speeds that we see a lot of these cars reach. And that not only has put a big gap in between him and the lead breakaway, it's also put him back all the way to the 12th position.
Yeah, it's not ideal for Mr. Hutchison there. This pack, though, it really is a pack for the lead, and going for 2nd place is Garen Batten, even going for the lead up the inside of Prada coming into turn 3. Garen Batten will lead the way like he did in the early stages of this race. It's all come back to him in the end, and it looked like a poor run for Northway coming out of turn 4 there. He has completely lost all of his momentum, falling off the back of Dean Mole. Potentially Cameron Dance leaned on him there coming out of the last corner, but Northway will immediately be back on the attack and passing Dwayne Burns around the outside. It's basically Robert Northway's favourite place to be in this race. The track temperature hasn't changed too much, Lynn. It's back down to 42 Celsius, and a cloud cover over the circuit. We might see it start to fall down a bit, and I think that's the reason why we're seeing this pack racing at the moment.
Yep, and if you had had a chance, you would have made some pit adjustments potentially. Maybe add a little bit of front wing to get a little more turn in on the corner, or maybe an air pressure adjustment to change the handling. But either way, that gap between the lead and the first chase group, that's pretty much evaporated. The last couple of laps have been absolutely torrid from that chase group in the 41.2s. In comparison, the lead group has been squabbling around in the 41.5s, 41.6s, and these guys are just now all back together, and anybody in touch of the lead has a chance to win this thing, I feel.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're still trying to sort themselves out here. The fusion car of Robert Deloach having to give way to Tyson Broad there on the exit of the last corner. And in the midst of all of this, Daryl Hockey has found his way to the lead. He passed Garen Batten a lap or two ago. and he's looking pretty quick there. Lucas Prada minding his own business in the midst of all of this as they squabble behind, continue to squabble. Robert Northway is caught back up, and he'll try and take Robert Deloach here at turn 3, catching some slipstream off the orbit drop bed cars as the caution is out again. Oof, big wrecking 4. Oh, good Lord. Wayne Hutchison, he had that slow restart, and I think that was just the start of his problems.
So he scrapes the wall going into the corner, and that causes a massive checkup for him. Obviously, these walls are very sticky in relation. Unfortunately, that leaves Jake Fox with nowhere to go if we get a chance to get a replay as Hayden Kirk limps into the pit lane with issues. Take a look. We are on the chase. We're on the TV cam right here. See, he just scraped the wall.
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
And Hayden Kirk had nowhere to go.
Wow, that's terrible for Wayne Hutchison. Just a little bit too high on the way into the corner, and oh, the speed just arrests there. And you're so close together at this point, only a few laps into a green flag stint. The drivers behind him would have had no idea that was about to happen. Well, Jake Fox, interesting perspective here, because he might have gotten away with that.
It might be a case of, since Hutchison is out of the Northwest Club, we can only say that for a little while longer because Clinton went away.
God.
He might have doinked Hutchison machine on the way by, but netcode giveth, netcode taketh, and it looks like Fox has been given a lucky break in terms of nothing severe has been damaged.
Yeah. That is a very lucky break for Jake Fox. That's, yeah, you can see the front wing is reattached again, and the front right as well. So that is a wipe the sweat off your brow and carry on moment. Man.
And if you remember, Jake Fox does not have a faster pair available a very, very long time ago, not in a galaxy far, far away. May the 4th be with you. Hi. He rebounded from the inside to the outside in less than 12 parsecs. Hey, I made that work. But I digress. So Jake Fox no longer has that spare car available. Take a look at is this the Prada machine? Yes, it is. It looks like we have a little bit of strategery going on in the midfield right here.
Yeah, he's coming to the pits, and, well, that makes sense. Everyone from Prada down to Dean Moll. It's lap 143. That's
57 to go.
57. Thank you, Lynn. Southpaw maths not working too well this afternoon. But yeah, that will make it still another stop to get to the end, but it won't be a particularly long one. That's going to work out nicely for them. We're still in that situation here where our top 6 currently about 8 laps into their stint, and they're effectively on the same strategy in terms of number of stops to go. They will still have to only take one more stop here, I believe. A little bit of extra fuel saving under caution should extend that stint out for them, but again, they will need to stop for longer. Of course, there's no telling when the next caution's going to come out, and all of our numbers will have to be recalculated again.
Hey, speaking of calculations, total tangent, Reese. I hear it's a very big number coming up for a certain special event on week 13, the Max Bance. What kind of a special event are y'all cooking up for that? I'm just curious.
Well, the hints have been dropped by Jake Sperry. I can't reveal too much, but suffice to say that when Max Bance 30 comes around, the drivers will be fighting for the continued existence of the event.
You make it sound like this is going to be a very funny number to attend. I don't know.
I think it will be. I'd strongly encourage everyone watching to sign up for the Max Bands Open when it comes around in week 13. So we shall see how that turns out in I don't know how many weeks' time. But now
about a month and 5 weeks, month and a week, so 5 weeks. Yay!
Dear oh dear, I'm going to have to get the Super Serious track guide finished because I do not want to have to go another Max Bants trailer without any other videos on my channel. Green flag is out, and leading us away is Daryl Hockey. Garen Batten and Robert Deloach running out the provisional top 3 for now in the Fusion cars, and you see that Batten is already on the attack here. This is what I've seen Batten do before. He started in second or further back, but he's made a huge charge to take the lead and try and control the race from here. But they have to remember Lucas Prada and practically everyone behind him too. They will have the strategy advantage going forward. Prada finding his way past Cameron Dance there. And looks like way down low is Robert Northway there. Dance and Broad plus another one of the Fusion cars there involved in the midst of it all. Stephen Banks, the car in question. Banks down in 27th position. He's 6 laps down on the field. Now, you want to keep in mind the cars that are 1 lap down. Stuart Elder, Robbie Bradbury, Jason Lottridge, and Wayne Hutchison. Those are the drivers who will get their lap back if we get another caution. Dean Moll, all the way back down to 18th. He was battling for the lead couple of cautions ago. He's going to have to rejig his race a little bit and try and fight his way up, save fuel, make sure that his final pit stop is as short as can be if he wants to have a chance of winning this race. But the prize for who gets to lead this lap is still up for grabs. It looks like it might be Batten. We'll see what Daryl Hockey has to say about that.
Meanwhile, Lucas Prada in the 7th position has closed the gap. He was 3 seconds off of the lead right there, but he gets around the Elder machine, who is a lap down, not for position, but he gets right on the tail of the lead lap battle. It is 1st through 7th, all in this mix together, and a couple of different lanes being chosen right here by the Dog Bear machines, and Kingsman allying together in the international region, fighting against the Fusion cars. Meanwhile, Robert Deloach from the 3rd position takes a shot at the 575 of Daryl Hockey, trying to get the 2nd position. Can't quite get it done, has to even up, checks up ever so slightly to maintain the position. Meanwhile, back at the midfield, Cameron Dance working his way back through the field again. How many nose cones has this car had to put on in all of this event?
And I'll tell you, oh my God, the run from Prada into turn 1. Did you see that? He passed like 4 cars on the way into the first turn there.
If you keep your foot in it, it's going to go places, and especially if you get a big run on fresh tires, he is absolutely going places, doing things. He's going to try to rule this kingdom once more, but he's got to get around the Hockey and Batten machines one more, and these other vehicles behind him, they're going to have something to say about this before it's all said and done.
Yeah, good run from Dylan Jordan behind as well. This has been a very interesting pack. Jake Fox right in the middle of all of this, and I'm honestly amazed that Jake Fox has managed to find his way into this position. Yeah, he stayed out into cautions, but remember a few cautions ago, we saw Jake Fox in the wall, and he narrowly escaped becoming a part of the last caution as well. So this Kingsman car has been through quite a bit in the last 30 or so laps. Cameron Dance gets past him though. Further up, Jordan making his run for the front. He's going to get alongside Robert Deloach into turn 3 and get the move done. Now slipstreaming up behind the pole sitter, Lucas Prada. Running in 3rd. Garen Batten and Daryl Hockey still holding station at the front of this field, but here comes the run from Cameron Dance, darting to the inside, past Deloach, past Jordan, past Prada, just about. His run is stymied by Daryl Hockey, who puts the both of them in a bit of a tough spot here through turn 2.
3/4 of the race down, 1/4 left to go. It is 150 miles thereabouts, or actually 125. I can sometimes do math, but in the meantime, Cameron Dance calculates the move to second position, gets that spot easy, and the temperature of this track is still red hot, 109 degrees Fahrenheit, about 44 degrees Celsius. Oh, 43. Okay, yeah. I can't quite carry the one over there on that one,
you're close enough. You're close enough. That's what counts.
And speaking of close, oh boy, I see a big pack of cars. Nobody's giving an inch here, Reese.
Yeah, like Scott has been saying, it's crunch time now. This is where you need to start sorting out how you go to the end of the race. Onto the apron, it looks like we might stay green. It's Dean Mole, who's unfortunately, I think, caught the wall. No, he hasn't. He was down low out of, oh no, it's net code off McCrelly. Oh dear, that's disastrous for Dean Mole. He looks like he might be out of this race too. But we have to keep our eyes on this lead pack. McCrelly has found his way up into 15th. He's right at the back of all of this chaos up ahead. We have to keep an eye out for Ewan Baker, who's in the middle of all of this in 25th place, 3 laps down. He's managed to somehow work his way up a little bit further, but he's out of the running basically at this point. He's just trying to survive to the end. The side-by-side between the KSR cars and Daryl Hockey. Round the outside goes Robert Northway, trying to follow Lucas Prada, Tyson Broad, and Cameron Dance to the lead of the race. Batten still leading the way as we tick it on over to lap 154.
Oh, this is about to get very sketchy. The Baker machine manages to get around to the outside as Jake Fox had to check up just a little bit. They were briefly 3 different lanes of traffic coming their way through. But this Ewan Baker machine is trying to pick his way through the field. Not this is as the Steel machine has scraped the wall as well.
Oh, yeah.
Similar incident to Hutchison a little bit ago, but everybody gets away with it for now. The Baker machine, as going back to my original point, he's trying to catch up to 21 of Dylan Jordan. They are teammates on the Kiwi Sim Racing team, and more importantly, if Jordan has a domestique in Ewan Baker, that's a friend that he can have.
Yeah, for sure. That could be something that potentially changes the face of Ewan Baker's race even this late on in the running. Baker has a front row seat to all of this action in the lead pack. And now they've entered holding station mode. Garen Batten flat out at the front of the field, 350 k's an hour on the way into turn 3. What that tells me is he's not running full rich right now. If they were running full rich, they'd be getting up to maybe 355, 356 potentially. So this is an interesting sequence of events we're seeing right now. Almost everyone on the fuel save, but looks like not Robert Deloach. He's trying to go for it there into turn 1, trying to find his way past Lucas Prada, but Lucas is playing this one quite nicely. He's holding that outside line very well, and he's picked up the slipstream off Dance on the way out of turn 3 as well. Well, Deloach will have to get by here into turn 3, and the Fusion cars side by side up the front of the field. Dance trying to find a way through, pick up some slipstream off Deloach into turn 4.
It's turned into the flat stage of a Tour de France. We have 2 teammates in Deloach and Batten running at the front of the field. They are 3 wide.
Oh no!
For third position. Somebody's got to give. It's going to be the one of the Kiwi Sim Racing machines gives it up. They're going to be side by side for the moment. Yeah, Northway. They somehow managed to survive that. You just mentioned that the pace has dropped a little bit in the field. I just took a look. The fast laps have all been in the 41 flat range. This last stint, a lot of cars are running around the 42 flat stage. That's maybe worth half a tenth to a tenth of a gallon a lap. So they're trying to save as much fuel as they can, trying to consume anywhere from 5.55 gallons a lap to 0.6 on the full rich.
And here comes Ewan Baker to try and get a lap back. He's making that surge to the front of the field. Just got to pass the couple of Fusion cars there, and maybe he'll be in a position to gain another lap back when the caution comes out. This is going to be an incredible finish to this race as Baker dips to the inside of Garen Batten. You can welcome Scott Rankin back to the comms box. Had to be called away for a second, but man, Scott, this race is absolutely going off right now.
Yep, yeah, it is. And remember, we were talking about patience. It ain't no time for patience. The big thing is critical lap number. Well, it's going to be one stop for everyone as they enter turn 1, 3 wide. Have a look at the aero treatment that everyone's giving each other, at least enough room to go racing, to go side by side. Well, critical lap number. It's coming. It's going to be about lap 168 to be confident. 170 plus, you are gold. But I would be not running this thing based upon in-draft numbers. I'd be filling it just in case I have a pocket to work with.
Here we go then. Baker now in prime position for that wave around to get back to a lap down. We've still got Hutchison, Elder, Bradbury, and Lottridge as the cars that are going to get back onto the lead lap if the caution comes out again. Bevan Laracy making another fantastic recovery. Don't forget, we saw him tumbling amongst the catch fencing just a short time ago. I mean, probably a longer time, but this race has absolutely flown by for me. Laracy's up 24 positions. That's frankly incredible. And Sam Harper will be able to keep the Fusion cars here with 3 in the top 10. Doesn't succeed in getting by Baker, Northway, but still in prime position for a great points haul for the Fusion team.
All right, everyone, there's literally the entire pack bar 2 cars connected at the moment. Last car running in the queue is 26th place Stephen Banks, and just ahead of him is Michael Hogg, and Michael Hogg's not off the lead. I'm just looking for a car that's just off the lead lap ahead of them so I can give you a margin. Yeah, so it's Lottridge is off the lead lap. I think it's Julian Mookie's about to shove the nose 3 wide at the back end of the pack as well. He's the last car on the lead lap. 3 seconds covers the field back to 18th. There's about another 5 cars back there, so I think through 90% of the field's covered by about 5 seconds.
Yeah, this is insane. What a finish we're potentially heading towards. McCrelly, meanwhile, just up ahead of Julian Mookie here, making slight bit of contact with Adam Johnson as Ryan Steele rounds out the top 10 for the moment here in the Dog Bear Bark machine. Got Daryl Hockey ahead, Bevan Laracy behind, and Jake Fox chasing hard too. Here comes Steele out of turn 2, and Northway meanwhile in trouble. Tyson Broad going for the top 5, but again the KSR number 1 is supreme on the high line.
And the lap times have they've stabilized a little bit. They've picked up the pace quite a bit into the 41.6s. Not a very quick uptick, but enough to where if you were saving a lot of fuel in that early part of the stint, you have burned it off now as they let the Ewan Baker machine at the front basically pull this whole line to let these front runners have a little bit of fuel save. Meanwhile, take a look at his from his rear side pod. Look at over the exhaust. This car is an older lady, but she is certainly still a looker, isn't she, Reese?
Oh god, yeah, one of the best looking open wheel cars ever made for my money. Really love the clean style of this car. Baker holding station nicely at the front of this pack, and we're waiting to see if there's any further moves here. Daryl Hockey got Bevan Laracy trying to go for the inside at turn 1. Doesn't happen. So Hockey will maintain his position in the top 10. 22 places gained for him. There's been some incredible gains from drivers starting further back, but that's just the nature of the Speedway 500 here, Scott. You can start practically anywhere in the field, and if you play your strategy cards right, you could end up fighting for a top 10, a podium, maybe even a win.
Yeah. Have a difficult day during the qualifications, that's okay. Drive your way through. There's 500 miles to deal with. you're really, really good at strategy, but the pace necessarily isn't your best thing, well, the Indy 500 is probably one of the best races of the year to actually be able to keep your way in contention. Maybe you're a gun at fuel saving, you're a gun at tyre saving. Northway puts the wing on the outside of Garen Batten, and he just nicks the spot. That's the man on the mission. You know what? This is the guy with the big old gurney flap on the back, and sorry, the wicker on the back. The thing is, he's been doing this all day, is he just gets on the high side of someone, and he's the only car with grip up there.
Yeah, like look at the gain that he is making there on Cameron Dance. He practically halved the gap in a single corner, and now Dance is stuck on the high line himself. Northway maybe a bit too high for his liking that time by. Batten will be right with him across the start-finish line. Ticking over to lap 166, we are starting to reach that critical lap number. It's creeping ever closer, but it doesn't seem like many of them are really focusing on that, trying to stay out of each other's way, trying to make moves, trying to make sure they're in the best position possible when that final pit stop finally comes.
Something's happened to McCrelly. McCrelly's now the last car on the lead lap. Last time by, I think he lost the spot to Julian Mookie, but those guys have just been stuck at the back end of the train. So the guys that are deeper in that field are starting to just sort of tank a little bit, not quite able to stick with the guys that are actually up ahead of them. There's a big old issue. Bevan Larace and Dylan Jordan are scrambling with each other at the moment on the run to turn one as well. So again, it's track position, track position, track position. I just, the problem is these runs go on the tires wear a little bit. Your ability to drive around the outside as somebody stick the nose at the inside is so much more difficult. So it's grab spots at the front end of the run, try and hang on to them.
Yeah, I guess Bevan's last name is very appropriate. He's looking very much Laracy here at the end of this second last stint of the race. He started in 36th place. He's up to 10th. That is insane from the 603, who, yeah, I'll say again, the car was practically destroyed under a caution some time ago, and he's made that recovery. We'll keep our eyes peeled for any further goings on here further back, but for now, Cameron Dance chasing Robert Deloach for third. Northway versus Batten continuing. They're just trading spots now. Northway hits the safer barrier on the way into turn 3.
Oh, and that's going to narrow out that car quite a bit, and not in a good way. So every little hit on this damage model just adds up, and that car has struck the wall more than once. So he may be in a spot where, yeah, he could get up. Well, we have our first pit stop right here. Daryl Hockey is the first one to blink, along with a couple of others. There's a fusion machine there in the back. So there's the decision. The window has opened, according to Scott's prediction, right on the money.
Well, I think if you've got a team and a group of drivers all together, and you're not making time in this train, because remember, they are struggling to make room. I think Prada just got through, by the way, up at Ewan Baker, sorry to cut you off as well, Reese. But if you are struggling, it's the same deal with Super Speedway style racing and stock cars, right? If you can't make moves in the train, make your own train is the way to go.
Yeah, exactly. Hockey was joined in the pits by Stuart Elder and Tom Dreiling, and they come out just ahead of this pack. Lucas Prada versus Cameron Dance for the lead of the race here behind Ewan Baker, who continues to lead it here in 25th, but now they get the slipstream off the cars that just pitted. This might change things. Cameron Dance going for it on Ewan Baker. Now, the question is, they are able to get it home from here now. The critical lap number is basically right now, so anyone in the lead could come in. The Fusion cars are deciding to come in. Garen Batten and Sam Harper, but Robert Deloach staying out.
And the other thing is, if like Scott said, if you want to make your own pack, go with your teammates. So these guys obviously are going to compete together, try to leave at the same time to be able to keep themselves together, try to get a little bit of separation, maybe do some swap drafts. Oh, Batten slid into his pit stall, but he manages to get it legal. That right front tire carrier probably scrambling for cover. They exit out of the pits relatively clean, and they're going to get up to speed relatively quick. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, no further takers on this particular lap. Every lap that you grab on this stint is a little less fuel you have to grab later.
Yeah, well, Robert Deloach does follow his teammates into the pits a lap later there, but the battle is certainly on here at the front. Cameron Dance breaking away as McCrelly, who has just come out of the pits himself, has just found himself side by side with the WSR Esports butt kicker number 605 of Lucas Prada. This is an incredible group of drivers that we have. Some of the best in Australia and New Zealand, along with some internationals coming in. This is, of course, the international region of the majors, and Robert Northway and Jake Fox are our next two takers onto the pit lane. This is... I'm looking at all of this. I genuinely don't know who's the best place right now, as that was Broad getting the wall.
He was pressing on, trying to do everything he possibly can. So he's lost a touch of momentum. If this is a front wing change, the earlier that he comes, and the problem is he's got to read it right now and decide to dive in the lane. He may just commit. He may just dive in the lane. I think there's a touch worth of damage on that car. McCrelly caused a break in between our race leader Cameron Dance and Lucas Prada because his tyres came up to temperature. Yeah, so Broad dives the lane. The reason for that again, I didn't read the speed limit. There may be a penalty to pay there because that was deep in. A lot going on. Cameron Dance caught a pack of cars at the same time as McCrelly was trying to be overtaken by Lucas Prada. They went side by side for a corner. They got disconnected from Cam Dance. The difficulty for McCrelly is he's now off the lead lap. The difficulty for Prada is he cannot afford to get separated. Right now, Cameron Dance has got great tyre wear, he's got real pace, and he's got a bunch of draft support. So he is actually running brilliant lap times right now, and the reason for that is he's getting support. So the problem is if you pit, you're actually coming out and helping the race leaders, not hampering them.
Yeah, and I think this is what we saw from Dance very early on in the race. Remember when he ran that massive stint? You know, he was the longest to go out of anyone on, I believe, the first or maybe second stint of the race. He's doing that again right now. He's making sure that he has that slipstream assistance, and he is using it beautifully. Well, Robert Northway and Jake Fox, they came into the pits a lap or two ago. They come out in 9th and 10th, and Northway is going to go for it here on Fox. The downforce of KSR number 1 working well for him. And yep, Lucas Prada and Dwayne Burns are your next takers to the lane. Jonathan Ben following them in. Ben's found his way into the top 10 in the midst of all of this, and should still be round about the sort of top 14, top 15. Not bad for the driver who started dead last.
Something to keep in mind real quick. Broad, he only has 2 incident points to his name, so that collision with the wall definitely hurt the car. I believe he took his fast repair as we ride on board with Cameron Dance coming back to the majors after a spell away. Technically a ringer. All he cares about is winning the race, winning the coin for winning the race. That seems a little bit politicky, but I digress. Anyways, he's just here to win the race. Bevan Laracy also here to win the race. Ryan Steele, at the moment, as things shake out, he collects full points if he stays in this position. He also collects a coin for the podium, but if he's here for the championship, he definitely wants to stay in that spot.
Cameron Dance, by the way, 34 laps on his current stint. This is critical. He is going a very, very long way into this one. Caution assisted, yes, but he has got to be running low on the pot.
Yeah, he has to. I mean, he's just come around to start the 35th lap of this stint, and 35 laps is the longest we've seen anyone go in this race so far. It was only done once before. As next raft of pitters come out of the lane, Ryan Steele jumps in, and he's joined in by Adam Johnson there, but Johnson overshoots his pit box there in the background, has to reverse in, and especially under green flag conditions, that's one of the worst mistakes you can make.
Unfortunate. Ryan Steele's now in. So we've got Laracy and we've got Cam Dance. Dance is in. So that's as far as he could have gone. Was 35 laps on the tank, and Laracy's going to follow him. Laracy was losing time. Dance was picking traffic off like it was going out of fashion. He was getting a huge amount of draft support. So that really, it would not surprise me to see Dance pop out with maybe a 2-second lead on that pack. But he's got to be quick. This stop is the money stop for Cameron Dance. We're focusing on Laracy down at the back. He's in behind the tower pylon, pulls it into the stall. Pit stop was accurate. This is a good stop, guys. He's in a great spot.
7.9 seconds. Great stop from Cameron Dance, and he'll come out of the pits with 8 seconds on Lucas Prada. See how much of that time Prada makes up as Dance exits the lane here, Lynn.
They're going to be side by side when they get off the line. You see the Johnson machine in the back coming off of pit road. We're looking at Dance. He's just coming off of the access road that you have to take to exit the pit road. He has maybe 2 seconds lead, and Prada, I think, in full head of momentum, it's going to be, it's going to be on at about 15 to go.
Seems to be stabilizing at about 3 seconds here. So Cam is I mean, this is an interesting situation here for Cameron, because he's come out all on his own. He's going to have to run full rich here, but lap 180, he can easily do it. Might he be able to hold on to this gap? He's actually increased the gap. Parada's now 3.1 seconds back.
Yeah, the only difficulty, so Cameron Dance's average fuel burn would have been lower for that last run. I just wonder, sometimes you can get, caution's out, that's never a
you see Cam Dance. Cam Dance was like, oh no. He would have preferred this race to be green all the way to the end, but he's completely lost that advantage he gained. Oh, it's McCrelly. Christian McCrelly and Julian Mookie as well. Oh, dear. Oh, looks like Wayne Hutchison was involved as well. So it's quite the incident that we've seen eventuate there. And oh dearie me, Julian Mookie, he was sent tumbling at the very start of the race. The same thing will happen here. Christian McCrelly, it looks like, caught the wall coming into turn 3, just like Wayne Hutchison did just before. Yeah, there you go. Oh no. And Mookie, get your sick bags out again, because tumbling up and over. Hutchison himself steaming straight into that. Wow.
The only thing I can say to that is McCurley fought the wall, and the wall won.
Certainly did. Oh man, yeah. Wayne Hutchison just came straight into that, and not the first time that Mookie's been staring at the sky for maybe a fraction of a second before he stared at the tarmac as well in alternating fashion. Just a real shame for Mookie. Wasn't he one of the drivers who was set to potentially get back onto the lead lap under the next caution?
I think he worked his way back to the lead lap, if not just one lap ago. Something to note, Daryl Hockey, you see it up on the right side of the screen, the pit stop indicators. The 575 is the only one to take tires of the cars still running. There are 16 cars on the lead lap, and he's going to be a ways back in up until we get to 10 to go. There will still be lap cars intermixed with the lead lap cars, and so there's an interesting little gamble. If Hockey gets any benefit from these fresh tires, if there happens to be another caution, I hope there's not, because I'm starting to get vertigo again from Charlotte. Yeah, there's definitely a possibility that he could draw a couple of other cars down to the pit road on the next caution.
Interesting there from Robert Northway as we were riding on board with him. He was pulling the clutch in and revving it out in first gear. He's burning off fuel.
This is a valid strategy. I picked this one up in fixed IndyCar racing. With the fixed setup in iRacing, you have a couple of different series, and one of them is the fixed series. So they start with a full load of fuel there. A lot of times they will try to burn the excess fuel off before the first stop on the pace lap to get a little more speed. In this case, Northway has probably overfilled it slightly and is wanting to essentially be a free-spinning internal combustion engine. So he's trying to reduce his mass, essentially.
Probably would also help to keep the engine temperature up, which, you know, the closer the engine is to its optimum operating temperature, the faster in a straight line you go. And God knows he needs that with the amount of downforce on his car.
Oh, yeah, that is actually another thing that... sorry to keep cutting you off, Scott. There is another setup change that these cars can have. If you look from the front nose back to the radiator inlets on each side of the driver, you'll notice that there's these little panels that extrude out. There are 3 different panels that you can pick from, including taking none of them. Everybody in the field, I believe, has taken the 70% option, which is the most you can take in this car for a race setup, and that's essentially just like taping up a stock car. You get more downforce, but you get less airflow, so the engine heats up. Optimally, these cars like about 250 on the oil temp. That's where they tend to enjoy the power the most. So Northway obviously both trying to reduce mass, but also trying to keep engine heat into it as we are on the one to go. We're looking to get rid of Fred Jones, hopefully for the last time.
Here we go then. Call of the green flag. Barney hoists the flag high. Cameron Dance leads us away here. The advantage he had coming out of the last pit stop eliminated. And we'll see what Lucas Prada can do to get that lead back from this hard-charging Orbit drop bear car. Robert Northway right with them as well. Northway starting back in 5th in this race. He's carried the most downforce out of anyone. He's enjoyed using that high line. Which way is he going to go here as Prada takes the lead from Dance into turn 3?
Yeah, had to get aggressive. Normally it's P2 and a restart. If you get green all the way down the back straightaway, it's P2 that gets a huge advantage. Why? Because he's sitting in that toe for such a long time. So this is where you'll start to see the weaving. And it was going to be Dwayne Burns, who tried to cover it to the inside, couldn't cover off the run that come on Northway. So now does Northway get a little bit of an advantage? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in, if you've never witnessed Indy cars, you're about to see the dance on wheels, the strategy, the drafting games. It's all about to kick off. This is IndyCar. This is why we love it. 370 clicks down the back straightaway. Here we go, boys.
I absolutely love this as we're on board with Dwayne Burns. The Cobalt Racing driver started back in 29th. He was mired in the midfield for most of this race. And now he has a chance at a potential podium here as Prada passes Dance again into turn 1. Burns has to go high to avoid running into the back of Robert Northway. Oh no, Ewan Baker, in fact. Baker still up in the midst of all of that, but still 3 laps down. The trading is starting to take place here between our leaders. They are swapping a couple of times a lap now.
And at this point, it's all they can do to stay in front of the Northway machine. That Baker car in 4th in line, not for position, but a potential blocker. Dance, Prada, swapping the lead back and forth, trying to get a run. They're not able to break away, but at least it maintains a defense against the first car. Oh, Prada scrapes the wall ever so slightly in the middle of 1 and 2. That is going to hold them both up. That's also going to reduce the amount of room that Dance has to make the side draft work. And here comes Northway lurking in the midst.
Well, here we go then. We're just waiting with bated breath now for something, anything to happen. This dance will continue. for the next 13 laps as Ryan Steele now makes another run at the top 10 here. We've noticed that his runs here have always been aggressive down the straights in this race, but Dylan Jordan holding strong in P12. Another car with big gains made in this race, and he was up the front for some of that time as well. It's all worked out in the favour of Cameron Dance and Lucas Prada, who continue to battle for the lead. They've broken away from Northway a little bit. The more they run side by side, the less of an advantage they have, the more slipstream Northway has. And he's going to be right with them coming into turn 1 on lap 189 of 200.
Here comes Broad, though. He's driven up his way back into 5th spot. He's been aggressive again. Has he learned anything? Particularly when he goes toe-to-toe with Robert Northway. Has he learned anything about the draft? Has he learned anything that he's got good speed? Phenomenal driver, talented driver. But IndyCars are not his wheelhouse. He picks them up, he has a crack in them. What has he learned across the duration, and how can he apply that late on here?
Oh, Dance ramping off the exit of turn 4 there. Couldn't quite get the slingshot on Lucas Prada. We'll have to hang back for maybe a lap or two. Keep the focus up, and then have a run at it at the end. Northway incredibly wide in turn 2 there, and that's pushed his momentum back. Dance going for it again on Prada as Burns is going to try and get onto the podium here.
Side by side, we saw the Northway machine way up the racetrack in turn number 2. That cost him that 3rd position, but he has Baker as a blocker for the moment. You mentioned Scott Tyson Broad. What has he learned? Well, first he has to get around the Baker machine to be able to show what he's learned.
He just can't get it. He's just, every single time he gets there and he's got momentum, he gets stuck in the dirty air. So he's just not learned enough at the moment. Northway made an error. Northway had no momentum as they come off in turn 2.
I think something's wrong for Northway. Something's gone wrong for him. Potentially. That was almost disaster there. I think Northway potentially has overheated his rears again, like he did more towards the start of the race. I've seen a massive drop-off in pace from him. He has fallen back from that battle for the podium, which is truly together into turn 1. Dance retaking the lead from Prada, and Dwayne Burns is waiting in the wings to take advantage.
You know what I noticed? Track is currently at 106 Fahrenheit, maybe about 41 degrees Celsius. Rob is hill ball. I was going to say, having that cool of a track has probably negated whatever advantage Northway had with that extra downforce. He's probably struggling with the damage that he's sustained over the course of the runs, but now Broad has joined him in the damage group. That has potentially brought Jake Fox back into this mix, potentially brought Robert DeLoach back in, Garen Batten. All of these cars potentially with a shot to get position here. So side by side for 2nd position, potentially the lead. Dwayne Burns to the front. For the moment, can't quite make it done.
Burns has been up the front on ovals before. He can certainly do it again. Prada responding nicely, catching that outside line on the way out of turn 2. Carried the momentum, will carry the slipstream. Up the inside at turn 3 on Cam Dance. This is going to be a scintillating final 7 laps of this race. I just hope that we stay green for it all.
We're running into a very, very important window in this race as well. Once we start lap 197, the next flag that's not a white flag ends the race. If we get a caution from that point on, it's over. Whoever's leading at that point in time. So what you're going to see is this will start to ramp up. It's not critical what track position you have right now, but in 2 laps, it's incredibly important, because wherever you're locked in, that's it. No more shuffling. So think about that. That just plays an extra game in. If you're in Broad spot, he's got to pick off a spot now. He's probably got to pick off a spot in the next lap as well to give him a shot. Northway is as far back as you want to be from any time from here on out.
Oh, and he's once again slow off of turn 4. The top 3 continuing to break away. A bit of a move from the Fusion cars behind. Ewan Baker is, I think, playing support to Northway for now, helping to keep those other cars behind Robert so that he can have a chance to catch back up to Prada, Dance and Burns up at the front of the field. The leaders are side by side once again on the back straight. And I'll see the run from Tyson Broad. He wants that 4th place off Robert Northway. He wants to join his teammate Cameron Dance on the podium, but Ewan Baker's making his life difficult. Jake Fox and Robert Deloach, Garen Batten, Bevan Laracy, they could all have a chance here as the leaders cross the line to make it 5 to go.
If you're the Robert Northway machine, you want this position to maintain as it is. Every car in front of you does not score points. Northway is currently able to score maximum points at this stand. He doesn't want anybody else past him because Broad has paid for a season pass. Jake Fox, season pass. Robert Deloach, season pass. Everybody could take potentially points off of him from behind.
Oh, that's very wide there for Sam Harper. And it looks like he'll continue to maintain his position in 11th place for now. 4 to go across the yard of bricks. And Lucas Prada and Cameron Dance are the battle of the race right now, but Tyson Broad's gotten a mechanical black flag.
Can't see
Scrape the wall. It's scraped the wall one too many times, but it's the point of no return. He's going to have to stay out as long as he can because, I mean, the car is driving okay, as near as I could tell.
Yeah. He is slow. He will have to serve it or he'll get DQ'd. You have 3 laps to serve a mechanical black flag. So that's going to be the end of Tyson Broad's run for a podium here at the Speedway 500. 3 to go. We'll get a quick replay of what happened to Tyson Broad, see where he got that mechanical black flag. It was on the way out of turn 2 here, I believe, washing up the track a bit, and there it was. That's what gave him the mechanical black. That's really unfortunate for Tyson Broad. But his teammate, Cameron Dance, still has a chance to take it home here for Orbit Drop Bear. But the WSR Esports butt kicker car of Lucas Prada has been on the pole and has led many laps in this race. He's been up the front the whole way. Dwayne Burns on the outside looking in as there goes Broad to take the stop and repair that damage. Could we see this charge up for Dwayne Burns from 29th to 3rd on the grid? Could make it to the lead there as Dance had to take the high line in turn 2.
2 more laps left to run. The second to final time, the penultimate time. They'll run down the back straightaway, tip it in. The 90-degree left-hander that is turn 3. Come out the other side. Cameron Dance has the lead of this race. He covers. He aero blocks Lucas Prada. Prada was able to get the wing underneath. He was able to turn the car down the track, but he's got no momentum. To the stripe. White flag in the air. Speedway 500. This is it. 2.5 miles. We're about to crown a Speedway 500 winner.
Lucas Prada just holding onto the rear end through turn 1. I could see the car wandering a little bit. Dance is trying to gear up a momentum here. He's got the slipstream coming out of turn 2, ramped it off the banking perfectly, but Prada will try and fight him as best he can into turn 3. It'll have to be a slipstream down the start-finish straight. That's the only chance Prada's going to have here. Dance is going to lead out of turn 4. The slipstream will be picked up by Prada, by Burns, by Northway. Dance breaks the draft, but I think he's arrested his momentum a bit. Prada gets into it. Dance has turned around, and Lucas Prada crosses the line in 1st place. Oh my God, what a finish. I think I've just destroyed my voice, guys.
No!
Your voice is destroyed, the dance machine is destroyed, and I think that is going to go to the stewards for a review. All incidents within the last caution period will be reviewed, and so I think we're going to have to take a look at that and see what we get. But in the meantime, provisionally, Lucas Prada wins that race off of a hook and win. But if that doesn't go in his favor, move up Dwayne Burns to winning this race.
Wow. I mean, I expected a dramatic finish, but nothing like that. You could see, Scott, that Dance was trying to break the draft and Prada was following him. I think the momentum for Dance was just arrested by the scrubbing of the tires. And, well, I mean, if you're Prada, what do you do at that point?
Yeah, he thought he was going to jink back to the right again to run away from the momentum. It's just... Here's the thing, love it or hate it, that is IndyCar racing. You break the draft, right? Prada, I can honestly see a case where Prada is uncertain of what Dance is doing to that point. And the thing is, Dance changed up what he was doing. Look, he bolted on that one line right there, and then they just got hooked together. At that point, it's too late.
God, and sent airborne was... Who on earth is that? Oh. Man. And...
Hang on. Lucas Prada just said in one of my favorite pieces of sportsmanship, sorry, my bad, I am not taking this win. He rejects receiving the win. He doesn't want to take it.
I was just about to say that, man. Oh, wow. I mean, so much to talk about coming out of this race. Lucas Prada recognizing his role in that dramatic finish. And yeah, I mean, what more can you say? It will be reviewed, but yeah, I think Lucas Prada putting his hand up there and claiming responsibility, that is huge.
Yeah, I all I can think of is effectively force majeure, where the driver's taken out of the steward's hands, right? It's the same as we all play casual sport. I play hockey. I played hockey on the weekend, field hockey, and there was a couple of calls whereby we as players went, we think the referees have got this one on, we're going to review it, and we're going to adjust the call. And I like those because it institutes we're out here having fun. And Lucas Prada is the first guy. So, no matter what happened on track, that is the most important thing. Sportsmanship reigns supreme.
Exactly. Well, that's how they cross the line on track. Lucas Prada from Dwayne Burns and Robert Northway. Jake Fox in fourth. Cameron Dance crossing the line, potentially in the air, in fifth place. With Robert Deloach in sixth. He'll definitely extend his Legends Championship lead from that. Garen Batten, Bevan Laracy up into 8th place from starting 36th. What a run up through the field. Full credit to Bevan for that. Same for Tom Dreiling as well, who started in 31st and up to 9th. Ryan Steele, Scott, will round out our top 10 here.
Reese, I'm still picking my jaw up off the floor. We go over and outside the 10. Sam Harper finishes 11th, also on the lead lap from Adam Johnson, Daryl Hockey, Jonathan Ben. There was some great racing further back in the pack. Actually, I did hear from Daryl Hockey and Jonathan Ben. They both said to each other after the race, thank you very much for that last lap. We had a drag racer line that was brilliant. That's just the way we wanted it to finish. So even though they weren't in and a part of the lead lap, that's what it's all about. 15th spot for Dylan Jordan, last car on the lead lap. The cars off the lead lap. Dean Moll, Robbie Bradbury, Jason Lottridge, and Stuart Elder 1 lap down. Tyson Broad finishes 2 laps down in 20th spot there, Lynn.
And continuing on, it is a bit of a junkyard back here. Michael Hogg 2 laps back, but also still amazing recovery for that machine right there after spending several laps rotating through the air. Ewan Baker finishes 3 laps down, but in the mix of that party. And then everybody further on back suffered major issues. Ben Doty, Christian Baccarelli, Julian Mookie, Wayne Hutchison, Stephen Banks, Hayden Kirk, Justin Morton, Dan Stevens, all suffering multiple collisions during this race. Rounding out the field at the very end, James Walker, Roger Shank, Ray Partridge, barely getting into the points paying spot, I think right there for 33rd. Dino Vella, James Horn, John Fillingham, Matt Chalker, and Thomas Inns rounds out our 38 starters for this evening.
Man, what a day here at Virtual Speedway, Indiana. The Speedway 500 on track goes to Lucas Prada, but finishing in second place and pending a steward's decision potentially taking the win after starting from 29th on the grid. Dwayne Burns joins us now from the Cobalt Racing crew. Dwayne, I mean, we'll get to the finish, but that race, just in general, you're no stranger to starting from near the rear in oval races and working your way up towards the front, but it took a special kind of effort today.
Yeah, thanks, guys. To be honest, I'm pretty damn surprised that I'm talking to you at the moment. Like you say, I qualified sort of towards the back, so I thought, this is a bit risky. I'm just going to start from the pit lane, and it seemed to be a good decision because everyone wrecked on the front straight, and I was sort of having to dodge a car that managed to come over the pit wall. So, it was definitely a lot of ups and downs in this one, and I was sort of surprised myself to find myself in the top 5 on that final start.
Well, I got to say, your view of that finish incident was probably the best seat in the house. Can you take us through your thoughts through that fraction of a second when you saw Prada and Dance come together?
Yeah, I mean, I almost wasn't looking at it when it happened, but then I saw Cam turning and I just thought, this is my chance. Maybe I can pick up a spot or even 2 here, and I sort of thought I was going to get Lucas at the end, but he kept it straight, and yeah, we'll see what happens. You never know. Stewart's decision, I could come out with a win, which would be awesome.
And even if you don't get handed the win through the stewards, it's still an incredible points haul for you from the Speedway 500. And, we're pretty much almost at the midpoint of the season now. So this is a good time to be getting that great reward.
Yeah, I mean, I'm stoked. Second, I'm stoked with that. But yeah, points-wise, I guess I'm sort of missing quite a few rounds this year, so I haven't really joined up for the season. So I guess all the guys behind me are going to benefit from that extra spot.
Well, regardless, second place on the road and potentially, maybe, the race victory. Is there anyone you want to thank for your efforts today before we let you go, Dwayne?
Yeah, well, as always, thanks, guys, for putting on the broadcasts and all the majors team for putting on these races. And, just want to say thanks to all my teammates. Shame that I was on my own today, but thanks a lot, boys.
And thank you very much for joining us. Dwayne Burns there, one of the guys at the very centre of that finish incident. And, for the man at the very centre of it, Scott Rankin has stood by with Cameron Dance.
Cam, 500 miles worth of racing, comes down to a final 2.5, but we'll get to that in a moment, I think. Race of probably, it felt a little bit like 3 stages. There was that long green flag run at the start. Pit stops looked good. You were very, very quick in that early pit stop and getting in and off pit lane, but you prepped yourself and you set yourself up for that first half of the race very, very well. Talk me a little bit through that. Fuel mileage was exceptional in that car today.
Yeah, we were just really, really smart, to be honest. Like, it is what it is every single year with this race. It's like, if you've got a fast car, you just be smart, don't do anything silly in the first half of the race, and then once you get to sort of that back end, you just put your hammer down and go nuts. So, we just decided we had the pace. There was no one really being overly quick, so we just thought there's no point leading and burning fuel or anything like that, so we just sat behind, saved some fuel, and then once we got an overcut, it was like, oh yeah, sweet as, and then just all the cautions happened. It was like, uh-oh, this is going not very well. So, it was really, really good. Fuel mileage was really good based on the way that we were just sitting behind, being smart, not overtaking anybody too hard or burning up our tyres as well.
And then we get into that final phase of the race, and we'll put aside the final lap for just a few moments more. That final run, if you separate that final lap out, that was some of the best IndyCar racing. If you want to put a statement out to the community of why do you want to be in this cars, why do you want to be in this race, that 20 laps there to the end after the green flag. I mean, you had the strategy, you popped out, you had a 3-second lead, get a caution, you reset, but you and Lucas were just able to go toe-to-toe, swap it back and forth. Dwayne was right there. That is IndyCar racing at its core.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, when I came out with a 3-second lead, I'm like, oh, yes, sweet as, we got this in the bag. And then Kush came out and I was like, oh, no, not this again. Because I was getting flashbacks of, like, 2020 where it was me and Hinsey going at it toe-to-toe at the end. But, no, it was really, really good. Like, that was an awesome battle me and Lucas had for that final 20 laps, to be honest. Like, I knew it was going to come down to probably one of two of us and, like, maybe have one other in the mix. But I knew, like, at the end it was probably going to be me and Lucas fighting for the win based on the fact that we're both pretty quick and obviously both very experienced in this car. So yeah, it was going to be interesting to see what happened. Obviously, the last lap didn't happen the way it did, but yeah, no, it was a really, really good race up until that point.
Mate, final, talk me through your last lap, because obviously you've got to try and block the aero, you've got to try and do something different. I actually really like the move coming onto the final lap of the race as well. You actually made the effort to aero block Lucas coming off a 4 into 4 on that final lap. That's teed things up a little bit different as well. But again, aerodynamics, air blocking, that's what it's all about. And then the moves down the front straight away as well.
Yeah, I knew I had slightly better tyres as well, so I could probably I was trying to burn his ones up a little bit with the aero blocking and stuff, but also I was just trying to, like, see where he was placing his car and see, like, maybe what sort of runs I could set up as well heading to the flag, because, like, the way it was going, it was like, oh yeah, this might work and that one might work and doing it there might work as well. We might do this here, and just, like, analysing the race and what was going on in a very deep and methodic way to try and set up the final lap. And obviously we set it up quite well and we were probably going to win that, but yeah.
I think the moves on the final straight, you move once, you move back to the center, held a line, and I think Lucas just misread that. Talk to us about the sportsmanship between, because the first words out of his mouth were, I don't want to win this race this way, basically, is what it boiled down to.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. Like, I mean, it happens. Like, it's the Indy 500. Like, you're going absolute balls to the wall pretty much on that final lap, and it's like, if you've got a shot to win it, you're gonna really try and do everything you can. It's like the Daytona 500. It's like, you don't want to dump the guy, but you kind of might have to if it all goes pear-shaped. So yeah, it is what it is, and it's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's like, we'll throw that final lap out the window and just go, that was a bloody awesome race at the end of the day.
Yeah, mate, and as an IndyCar, that's why I'm over here and enjoying it, is because I knew you'd have a really good insight into that race, mate. Giving the floor, it was so close, but yet so far, which means you're going to come back next year and you're going to win it next year, right? So who would you like to give a thank you to?
Yeah, might come back next year, we'll see. But yeah, obviously, shout out to all the boys at Orbit Drop Their Motorsport for all their support as always. Obviously, everybody that's on the car, River Race Gear, Hybrid Tune, Demon Tweaks, Fight CRC, anyone else I might have missed, because I can't remember at this point. Oh, iLiveries as well for the awesome paint that stood out like a pretty much anything that stands out. And yeah, obviously shout out to you boys for the awesome broadcast, all the boys for the awesome racing, even if it was a bit mediocre at that minute point. But yeah, just shout out to everybody that obviously organises it. Mike and the team, they do an awesome job every single year out with this race. So yeah, cheers to them, and hopefully he'll come back next year and I might see it at MOT, I guess.
Mate, congratulations, and go off, enjoy it. Look, you've got a smile from ear to ear, and at the end of a race like that, that's all you can really ask for, mate. Congratulations.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Well, that's going to be Cam Dance there, coming away from this race with maybe some disappointment at the end, but still an incredible race to be driven from him. Finally, Lynn Kinchelow has caught up with Robert Northway, who gets onto the podium. Just an incredible race there from our reigning international champion.
Robert Reese mentioned it real quick as he introduced us together. You managed to sneak onto the podium at the very last second, so I have to imagine you're feeling pretty chuffed about the overall result, being able to squeak out that coin at the end.
Oh, 100%. Especially I wasn't expecting to get the coin, because those last 10 laps I just decided to take the max points for the teams for the season, because the other three weren't in the championship. So get the podium was a bit of a surprise, although I feel very bad for Cam, especially because I did that same thing to him last year in another league event.
Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, you entered that last corner basically scoring the maximum points. You're gonna be provisionally battling in the championship lead, and having that momentum is gonna definitely be a benefit to you. Imagine going into Le Mans.
Definitely, and especially because I know my strength is the oval, so I know if I'm going to have a chase of this defence of this title, I need to get the maximum points I can out of the ovals, because I'm going to lose points to the likes of Ewan and James on the road courses. So yeah, I've got to really do well in the ovals, and that's what I did this tonight.
Speaking of maximizing, we couldn't help but notice up here in the booth, you, along with a handful of other cars, especially some of your Kiwi Sim Racing teammates, brought out the larger wickers on the cars. I'm just kind of curious. This may be me trying to poke a little deep into the secrets because I'm racing in the Americas region. What was the logic behind running the bigger wickers, and where do you think that helped you out the most?
Deep down, I think it was maybe a bit of a mistake, especially if I was trying to run the bottom. It was just too tight. I think when I run the Euro later, I might do something different, but it really did help when I was running those higher lines though, so that's why I kept being able to get that nose to the outside of guys and getting around them.
Good to know. I'm taking some notes over here. To wrap this up real quick, what kind of anybody you want to shout out here?
Just the whole KSR team, for all the work with help with the setup and just strategy. I know Kirky had issues in mid-race, and he didn't escape out, didn't pack a sand as a pair. He stayed and spotted and gave us helping pointers of what was going on track. Speed Nation as KSR sponsor. Spire as well as KSR sponsor, and finally my long-suffering wife who has to put up with me these race weeks, putting in ridiculous hours to get a good setup.
Yep, can't always have to appreciate the significant others in these events. So with that, thank you, Robert, for your time, and hope to see you next round at Le Mans.
Thank you, and thanks for your work on the broadcast.
Well, there we go. That's our driver interviews done and dusted. Thanks very much, Lynn and Scott, for your chats there as well. And, we have a 30-second time penalty that has come in for Lucas Prada for the incident you're seeing in slow motion on screen right now, with mere meters to go to the finish line in the major Speedway 500. So that does mean that Dwayne Burns will be granted the win for this round of the Majors Series. Northway and Fox, your podium. Tell you what, Scott, I think that's the result that we expected, but still, it takes nothing away from the incredible challenge that Burns put up in those final stints.
Look, I just think the races, the winner, we're all disappointed to see it end that way, but the winner is racing. Look at the way Cam spoke about that race. You know, that is IndyCar racing, and it's going to happen. That's simulator racing. You're going to get up, you're going to be right on somebody, and contact's potentially going to be made. That is racing. If you can't handle that, get out of the kitchen. You know, this is all about being up there and being a part of it. And Lucas made an attempt. He's doing everything he possibly can to go for a win. Just, I think the biggest winner today is the fans. Just everyone that was a part of that. Just, yep. What a race. This is why I love the Indy 500, and I actually messaged in chat a little bit earlier, but my dog's name is Indy. Number one, because I think it's cute, but number two, because this is my preferred form of motorsport when I'm on the sim. I'm a big fan of the Indy car for these exact reasons right here, and you know, that's a representation of how much I love the sport that we're a part of, so yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. IndyCar turning it up. And, I suppose our final words are, make sure that you tune in for the next round of the Majors Series. We are going to Le Mans for the Majors 2.4. That'll be taking place on the 1st of June. The green flag will be at 4 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. So mark those dates in your calendar, do the time conversions that you need, and mark it, because honestly, if this race is anything to go by, the rest of this championship is going to be one for the books. We want to thank you all for tuning in over the course of this race. And don't forget that our friends at Global Sim Racing Channel and the like will be broadcasting the other regions of the Majors series. It's certainly a massive series, and we want to give our huge thanks to Michael Lett and the administration team for bringing us this incredible sim racing league that tests drivers' versatility and brings us some of the best racing that we've ever seen here on SimSpeed TV. I'm Reese Gardner. Scott Rankin and Lynn Kinchelow were alongside me in the comms box today, and Dan Yeaman working hard, pressing all the buttons behind the scenes to bring you these live pictures on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Kick here on SimSpeed TV. Thank you once again for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, you know that guy who just before the green flag keys up his mic and asks, "Anybody got a setup?" Well, this is him. This is Adam, and hey, Adam needs some help. On the other hand, this guy over here, this is Steve. Steve is a solid racer and he knows his way around the garage. Steve's problem is time. With a job and a family, he can't find enough time to build competitive setups and to race as often as he likes. But as luck would have it, Steve knows a secret. He lets the Majors Garage crew chiefs do the setup work so he can focus on the racing. At majorsgarage.com, Steve can get setups for over 60 cars on the iRacing service. So no matter what series he wants to jump into, he is covered. Anybody really should tell Adam. See you at the garage.